huddle going on, and maybe English try and make the batsmen play a little bit more. But I must say, I thought the way that Sharma and Rahul played there was a really good example of how to play the ball when it's moving around and so on. Deestat Gupta is coming in beside me here. Simon Mann's going to come in. And when Deep's worked out, I think it's his first go at doing this. Well done, Deep. I think you've done it. You just about plugged everything in. That one goes in there. There you go. And you press that little button there. And miraculously, I think, everything's going to work. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm very good at this. Thank you.
Well done. Well, that was very cleverly done. Perhaps your thoughts on how the openers have played, Deep, and then we're going to allow Simon Mann space to come in here.
I think they've done wonderfully well. They've been watchful. They've capitalized on every opportunity they've got to score some runs, and they're looking good. But the challenge begins from here on, because that's been an issue, especially for someone like Rohit, to move from gear 2, gear 3 to his natural way of batting. He's aggressive. He loves to play his strokes, but in Test match cricket, this is the kind of template that he has. He starts slowly, being watchful, and then slowly moves into his own tempo of batting. And in Test match cricket, so far as an opener, outside the subcontinent, he's found it a little more challenging to move between gears, and that transition period where he's got out a few times getting starts. I think out of his 8 innings as an opener, he's got out 5 times, maybe 6 times in that period between 20 and 50 runs that he scored.
Well, it's a fascinating afternoon session ahead, because India have done really well in that truncated morning session. 46 for no wicket. We're in the middle of the 19th over, and it resumes now with Robinson bowling, and his first ball after lunch is outside the off stump, and there's no stroke from Rohit Sharma, and it's collected by Butler. So play starting at 10-2. I must say I was utterly perplexed at why the umpires didn't take lunch at 1 o'clock when they could have done. They said waited till 1:10. Just seemed utterly bizarre. But whether we can make it all up at the end of the day remains to be seen. Rohit's 35 not out. KL Rahul is on 10 at the non-striker's end. 3 slips in the gully. Robinson bowls, and forward goes Rohit, angling the ball away down to backward point, where it's picked up by Hamid, who's back in England's Test team today after quite a long break, really, but he's still young. He made his debut at the age of 19, as did Sam Curran. So that's the end of Robinson's over. 2 balls to complete, and it's 46 for no wicket. We've had 19 overs so far. It was really tight to start with. It was 1 run per over, but then we saw that flurry in that over from Curran, and India began to get away. But they built a good base, these two.
And I think that was a very important over for Rohit, because, as I mentioned, he found it a little challenging to kind of open up and play his strokes. But that over, the 15th over from Sam Curran, where he got those 4 boundaries, suddenly opened up for him.
And it also, as well, as you know, do that hard work, the runs will come if you're prepared to stick at it. There will be some bad balls along the way that you can put away. But it feels as if India are ahead of the game here. England putting India into bat this morning and not getting any joy before lunch. Now Mark Wood's going to bowl for the first time in this Test match, first time in the series, and he's rushing in now from the pavilion end. At extra pace, bowls to Rahul, who plays defensively, and the ball drops towards the vacant short leg position, and Wood rushes forward and beats Bairstow to it, and there is no run. 46 for no wicket. India. In terms of the weather, the lights are on still. It is gloomy at Lord's, but the clouds look a bit higher. In the distance, we can't see any of those shower clouds that we saw this morning that interrupted play very frustratingly. Delayed the toss, then delayed the start, and then took us off for an early lunch. Wood circles round by a pile of sawdust at the far end, and comes into bowl to KL Rahul outside the off stump. Rahul leans forward and allows it to go through to Butler.
Yeah, and a couple of things that I've noticed, especially with the trigger movement with KL Rahul, the last few times that he was playing as an opener in Test match cricket, he got out quite a few times nicking it behind stumps. So now if you look at his technique, his trigger movement, he goes right across his off stump, make sure his front foot is covering the line of the swing and the off stump line. His head is outside off stump, And he's done that well so far in this series.
Oh, he's been superb, hasn't he? He's only 10 off 48. He's done such a good job for his team today. Wood bowls, it's very close to off stump. A good leave from Rahul through to Butler. And especially a player who he probably didn't think he was going to be playing in the series at all.
Absolutely, or maybe not as an opener.
Certainly not as an opener.
Yeah,
no.
it was looked at as more of a middle order batting option, KL Rahul. But just to get this opportunity to open, I'm sure he's always been an opener. Underage cricket for India, 33 out of the 36 Test matches, or rather 34 now. He's played as an opener.
Wood circles round again. A long straight sprint in, bowls to Rahul, and Rahul lets this go by outside the off stump again, and it's through to Butler.
And the technique that I mentioned, the adjustment that he's made is helping him so much. Leave those deliveries outside off stump. These are really good leaves. These are fourth stump, maybe fifth stumpish deliveries. The corridor of uncertainty, as we call it. If you look at him right now with the current technique that he has, or the game plan that he has, he's so certain of his off stump. And I think his new game plan is helping him through this whole phase.
And if you keep on leaving, the bowlers tend to get a bit straighter, and then you can pick them off through the leg side. Well, that's one area in which you can score. Wood goes a bit wide of the crease there, bowls outside the off stump. That one was more sixth stump probably, fifth, sixth stump. And Rahul let it go through to Butler again. Wood sprinting in, he's got that... Still very explosive, but it's not in that short run that he used to have. It's a decent run.
You surprised that this is the first over that he's bowling so far in this test?
Well, you can understand. He's got that extra shock valleys, and he doesn't do much with the ball really. Mm-hmm. So you can understand this morning with the overhead conditions of why he would have gone with Robinson, Anderson, and Curran. But of course, hasn't worked. So perhaps Wood's got in the captain's ear and said, "Come on, let me have a go." That one's full and wide from Wood, and Rahul lets it go through. It did go quite a long way after the ball had gone past the stumps, and Butler was taking that in front of her second slip. End of Wood's over. It's a maiden. So we've had 20 overs. England putting India in. It's the strange psychology of the game, that isn't it? When you put a side in, you strive a bit more.
Yeah, and the first session, if you don't pick up at least 2 wickets, you think, and you start questioning yourself whether you've taken the right decision or not. So far, credit to the Indian openers. They've done really, really well. They've been watchful as compared to the English bowlers. They've been well as well. They've been very, very disciplined. It's just that apart from Sam Curran, I thought maybe he was bowling from the wrong end. Yeah. Maybe he would have been better off bowling from the pavilion end rather than the nursery end.
Yeah, I just want a Sam Curran with a new ball this morning. Sam Curran with a new ball from the far end, and Anderson from this end. See how that goes. Robinson bowls on the pads there of Rohit. He turns it away to Moeen, who's fielding in front of the grandstand. A deep square leg, so just a single. Rohit to 36, and India to 47 for no wicket. I think the feeling is with Curran that he can swing the new balls. Yeah. So just have a look, especially with no Broad in the side.
It makes more sense against Rohit, I do understand, because numbers against left-arm seamers aren't that great. But when you're bowling against the slope there, the chances of that ball swinging back in is a lot less.
If you're bowling from the nursery
end. From the nursery end, that is. Yeah. And that just gives you, as a batter, a lot more confidence.
Rahul is back on strike, and here is Robinson to bowl to him, an away swinger, and Rahul leans forward and allows it to go through. It's got a tempter actually there from Robinson, but if Rahul had driven at that one, he might well have nicked it to third slip. There was quite a away movement on it, away swing from Robinson. He's in his 7th over. He's only gone for 7 so far.
It's also surprising the field placement. You've got a 5-4 field, 4 fielders on the onside. You've got 2 boundary riders on the onside and a short mid-wicket. That just tells you that this spell he might be a lot straighter.
Let's have a look. Robinson goes in to bowl to Rahul. Well, that's down the leg side, and Butler doesn't take it, and that's gone away for 4 byes. Well, that was a bit of sloppy cricket. It was a poor delivery, and it wasn't the easiest of stops for Butler, but you'd expect to stop that as a wicketkeeper.
Yeah, get something behind it. Yeah. If not the gloves, your pad or something, to stop those extra 4 runs. But that's the danger of having a field like that, because obviously the bowler here, Ollie Robinson, is trying to get straight. But if you get that line wrong, then that's exactly what can happen, straying down leg side.
Yeah, bounced over his left hand, Butler there. And the 50's up for India. 50 partnership, the second consecutive 50 partnership in the first innings in this Test series for Rohit and Rahul. Robinson goes in again and bowls an absolute beauty. I mean, it's far too good, really. Almost a waste of time bowling a ball like that.
Yeah, that was way too good. Way too good.
He drew the batsman forward and it swung away past the outside. He missed it by quite a long way.
The important thing is the way he releases Ollie Robinson. He's using the crease really well. He went wide of the crease, and as a batter you're playing the angle as well, and after pitching that kind of held its line, a bit of a leg cut as well.
Yeah, I think it went off the pitch, didn't it, actually? Just seeing the replay. Here is Robinson bowling, struck on the pad there, Rahul. They're off for a quick leg by. It's picked up at mid-wicket, or square leg. Fielder coming from mid-wicket to pick up. Sibley can't get there, so leg by gathered. And one more to the total. 52 for no wicket.
Yeah, he's bowled well. He's been very tight even in the first Test match. And looking at this line, I don't know, you reckon a short leg maybe? If he's going to bowl straight as this, maybe put a short leg.
He's got a mid-wicket, mid-on, deep square leg and fine leg. Robinson goes in to complete the over, and that's dead batted for 4, down to the deep third. Chases on, but it's going to be an unsuccessful one for Bairstow. That open face guide from Rohit Sharma, finding the gap. 56 for no wicket, and Rohit moves to 40 at the end of the over.
Yeah, that's a white ball cricket shot, isn't it? Just opening the face of the bat. But it's been very, very productive. Gets a 4 here as well, and also with soft hands, and the angle of the bat is quite acute, just making sure even if it hits the outside half of the bat or the outside edge, chances are it won't carry all the way to the slip fielder. Now this is an important phase for Rohit, really important. He needs to get his innings kicking now.
A third 50 partnership for the opening wicket against England this summer. Conway and Latham added 58 in the first Test of the summer here in the first innings. Rahul and Rohit added 97 in the first innings at Nottingham, and now just past 50 in this innings.
It's going to be Mark Wood in his second over. Into bowl to Rahul outside the off stump. Nothing from KL Rahul. He is not to be tempted. He has left well. I mean, I think this is a feeling England have just bowled a fraction wide at times, not made them play enough.
Before those 50 opening stands, there hadn't been one against England in England in the previous 14 tests, going back to Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan, and added 60 in both innings of the Trent Bridge Test of 2018. It's been a tremendously difficult place for openers, but this year the visiting teams have batted extremely well at the top of the order.
And what have England's opening partnerships been this summer? Just to compare them, it feels as though they will pale by comparison. Here is Wood bowling, and a flinching defensive shot there to a ball that's short of a length by Rahul, that goes backward a square on the onside. Butler goes after it towards the square leg umpire, and they're through for a single. It might well have come off the glove, that one. An awkward one. An extra pace of Mark Wood. It's in at the body of India's opener. He made a good photograph that, because he played that 2 feet off the ground, both feet off the ground.
Yeah, never easy when somebody's bowling at 90 plus miles an hour coming towards your rib cage. But he managed it all right. K. Rahul got a single for that too.
Yeah, that gave him the hurry up. He was right back into the stumps, feet off the ground, knocking it away into the onside, happy to get up the other end. Now Rohit on 40, Wood goes in and bowls to him, and Rohit plays defensively to a straight ball. Plays it up towards mid-off, and there's no run.
England's opening stands this year against New Zealand at Lords, 4 and 49, 72 and 0 at Edgbaston, and 0 and 37 at Trent Bridge against India.
So, yeah, mixed. There have been some solid responses, but I mean, Burns has been out, I think, is it 5 ducks in his last 11 Test innings, which obviously nips that opening partnership in the bud quite frequently. Back with Wood. Into bowl to Rohit Sharma, wide of off stump. Rohit leans forward and lets the ball go. It swings away up the slope here at Lords. Taken by Butler. It's not quite what Joe Root had in mind when he won the toss and put India into bat this morning. No wickets in the first 21 overs.
Talking about the trigger movement, if you look at Rohit, he's got a different trigger movement, because off late the way he's got out is predominantly leg before and bowled, so he tries to stay on side of the ball. So while KL Rahul, he wants to get his front foot outside off stump, Rohit, he wants to go more straightish, middle and off.
Rohit waits. Wood goes in and bowls to him outside the off stump. Rohit leans forward again and allows it to go through to Butler. What you feel watching these two openers for India? We've seen the two test matches so far. There's a sort of sense of calmness and correctness and sort of an economy of movement. They seem organised. They know what they're doing out there, and it must transmit to the dressing room as well. As you don't feel that necessarily with the England top order. Here is Wood into bowl to Rohit, and straight delivery just outside the off stump. I mean, straight in the sense it didn't move either way. Rohit is able to let it go. End of the over, 2 overs to 1 from Wood. India 57 for no wicket.
The thing about Rohit is, even when he gets out early, he never looks out of form. He looks so good, even when he's getting 5s or 10s or whatever. Every time he goes out to bat, he's always in form. And that's the thing about Rohit. That's the reason it can be really frustrating when you see someone like Rohit not getting big runs. It's like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's batting all right, his middling, his footwork, his head position, everything seems to be right. It's just that from time to time, whether it was in Australia or here in England, he gets set and he just wants to play that one shot which he gets out to.
That innings he played in the series against England earlier this year. Here is Robinson bowling. It's down the leg side. Butler takes it this time. Rahul tries to flick it away, misses. The innings he played must have been the second test, was it? In Chennai.
161.
I mean, it's just a magnificent innings on a tricky pitch as well.
Yeah. I mean, that was a masterclass how to play spin and how to pace your innings. There were sessions where he really put his head down and saw through the session, but there were times when he found scoring rather easy.
Robinson bowls to Rahul, again down the leg side. Again, Butler doesn't take it cleanly. I think of a bias, not on this time. Butler gets quite a lot of glove to it, and it goes 3 or 4 metres away. He's able to get onto the ball before they run through.
I think this is where the captain has to come and speak to the bowler and say, listen, I don't want you to change your line. You still need to bowl that off stump or fourth stump line, even though you have 4 fielders on the onside. You really not necessarily have to bowl as straight as that or try and bowl as straight as that.
Yeah, a lot going down the leg side at the moment from Robinson, not quite working for him. Here he is again, and that's an absolute beauty. I mean, every now and again, he just bowls an unplayable delivery, and there was another one. He went past the outside edge of KL Rahul's bat, angling in, left him.
Yeah, that's the line that he needs to bowl, irrespective of the field placement that he's got. Oh, what a jaff for that one. It's too good. I mean, how close was that to the outside edge?
I mean, it's very frustrating because it's a great delivery, but doesn't catch the edge. It's almost a waste of time, although of course it does put doubt in the batter's mind. Robinson to Rahul, who forces that away off the back foot, down the slope. Chase for Hamid. The Lord's outfield not quite as quick as we're used to. We have had a lot of rain in London in the last few weeks, and the outfield very green, and it's only 2 runs Hamid was after. It wasn't perfectly timed by Rahul.
I thought he managed that well. It wasn't a shot off the back foot. The length was quite foolish. So I think in the end he managed it all right, playing it off the back foot for a couple of runs.
He goes to 13, and India in his post-lunch session 59 for no wicket. Robinson in his 8th over, no wicket for 13, moves in and bowls to Rahul, who comes forward and dabs it into the offside, and they run through for a single. They've got their running coordinated today so far after some of the mix-ups. Well, Rahul nearly ran all his teammates out in the last game. He had a go at most of them.
Yeah, quite a few run-out opportunities in the last test match. I think they must have batted together in the nets for a while and sorted out their calling. And this is again, it's such an important aspect of the game. Both of them right-handers, but they're so different in the way they approach their batting plans.
Rahul to 14 and India to 60 for no wicket. Robinson into bowl to Rohit Sharma, full, and Sharma comes forward to a ball that comes back into him, and he gets enough bat on it to help it out towards deep forward square leg. Moeen returns to Butler. They're through for a single, so Rohit keeps the bowling. It's the end of the over. 61 for no wicket. Rohit has 41, Rahul 14. Zoltz has got something for us, has he? And then it's going to be Alison Mitchell.
Just to highlight the discipline of the Indian openers, the number of balls that they've left in this series so far. So I looked at the first 50 balls of Rahul's and Sharma's innings through their careers. Rahul in the first innings at Trent Bridge left 21 of his first 50 balls. Today 17 of his first 50 there, in his top 4 most balls left in innings in which he's faced 50 balls inside those first 50 out of 26 such innings. Rohit Sharma 39 innings over 50 balls.
As Mark Wood is running in from the pavilion end, and Rohit's come forward in defensive fashion, but the ball's run away into the ground and down to the deep third boundary, where Rory Burns is chased back from his position at slip. And Johnny Bairstow hot on his heels as well for a relay throw. 63 on the board for India, Andy.
Sorry, my stat about batsmen doing nothing got out of control. So 3 innings against New Zealand in the World Test Championship and 2 innings against England. He's left 15 and 17 of his first 50 balls. 3 of his 4 most balls left alone at the start of his innings. So both of these players have adapted their games to what's been a difficult summer for batting so far.
It's the beauty of Test cricket. There is so much to be said about nothing. As Wood is running in, a bleep at the crease outside the off stump, looking to force it away, but it's behind square to Rory Burns. No run.
Right, so last couple of deliveries or last couple of overs, Rohit's looking a little fidgety here. Yeah, last delivery as well. Generally, as Andy mentioned, he's left a lot of those deliveries outside off stump. But the last one and the one before, he kind of followed it. So this is the time that gets me edgy with Rohit. You know, there is this one big shot that he's going to try and play and get himself out. So, you know, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Come on, Rohit.
To rein himself back in, keep the focus.
Absolutely. I mean, this is where your partner also comes into the picture. He can walk up and say, you know what, just tighten your game a bit now.
So Rohit on 43 as Wood rushes in, bowls down the leg side. He's helped it down to the fine leg boundary for 4. Did come off the bat or glove, perhaps as he swung and swivelled. So India gain a boundary, Rohit gains a boundary. He's on to 47.
Right, that's his go-to shot, isn't it? He's so good off the back foot, especially the pull shot. It's not that shot towards his rib cage. He does well, swivels around. Yeah, doesn't get a lot of bat, but fine enough for a boundary.
He rose right up on his toe, lifting his left knee high, swivelling as he helped it off the hip. And Sam Curran is fielding down a fine leg, but it went too fine. So Rohit on 47 and Wood in again. 3 slips behind the batsman, full. Rohit forward, defends and is able to take a single out to mid-wicket to move him on to 48. The ball's picked up 68 without loss for India now.
That shot we mentioned, you know, with his left foot up and that pull shot, in India we call it the Nataraj Shot, made popular by Kapil Dev. He used to play like that. So we call it the Nataraj Shot because there's this goddess whose pose is like that, with the left foot up there, you know, and that just reminds you of that pose, and we call it the Nataraj Shot.
It looks quite balletic with the way he plays it, getting up and around. Of course, the other well-known shot with the foot off the air would be the Kevin Peterson flamingo flick, which is a little different. Now I've got Moeen Ali coming in to field at, well, it's much wider than more in a leg gully position.
Yeah, leg gully.
Square, but quite short. Yeah, leg gully to KL Rahul, who's 14 off 63. So here is Wood in then. It's outside the off stump. Angles the bat in defensive fashion. The ball strikes the ground and is fielded by Burns at backward point.
Yeah, that leg gully is a very interesting position. Maybe because how KL Rahul played the short pitch delivery last over, that Wood bowled at him again towards that rib cage. He didn't look comfortable. Maybe that's the reason they've got Moeen Ali at that leg gully position.
Got a deep square leg back on the boundary in front of the scoreboard and the clock and old father time. Floodlights are still on here at Lord's, have been on all day really. It's a bit of a breeze, the MCC flag on top of the grandstand is fluttering. Wood in now to Rahul, that rears up nastily, but he's managed to play it, got right up on his toes, fended it down, but it was a well-directed short ball from Mark Wood. KL Rahul has managed to survive.
Yeah, looking at deliveries like that, You thank God that you've finished with your cricket career.
Much safer up here, deep, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was a really well-directed shot pitch, and somebody who bowls at 90 plus miles an hour heading towards your helmet. He gloved it, but managed to keep it along the ground and really lob it to fielders around him.
Yeah, he was on his toes, hands practically under his grill to keep that one down. So KL Rahul on 14, Rohit on strike for the first ball of the next over. He's 48 not out, and India have 68 runs on the board. They were put into bat, remember, by Joe Root. England wicketless so far. Only 18.4 overs were possible in the morning session, though. Here is Robinson, in out to Rohit, angled in on leg stump, clipped away up the slope to the grandstand for a single. Moeen Ali is there to field at deep square leg, sends the ball back into the gloves of Jos Buttler. And Rohit, one away from his 50 now, down the non-striker's end.
Yeah, that's the best thing that can happen to Rohit at this point in time. I was mentioning, take that single, get to the non-striker's end, just get over that phase. Let KL Rahul take most of the strike as of now.
Rohit's leaning on his bat handle, one hand on his hip, the non-striker's end. And Rahul gets ready to face Robinson. He's just taken a look over his left shoulder to see deep square leg and fine leg back. Robinson is in now, past the umpire. Again, pushes it across. Rahul clips him past the square leg umpire for a single. Moeen moves into field, 1 run taken.
Yeah, this game plan isn't really working, right? With 4 fielders on the onside, him trying to get a lot straighter with his line. Straight too much on the onside, predominantly has been middle leggish, but every now and then, a couple of deliveries every over, he bowls a really, really beautiful delivery.
You felt he was closest to taking a wicket. Well, he as Robinson was when he found the edge early in that first session, but the ball dropped short of Sibley in the slips. Robinson into Rohit's on 49, defence coming forward, getting his head low over the ball and fielded by Hasib Hamid. There's no run.
So this is a much better line for him. I mean, bowling that 4th stumpish, not really worrying about that extra fielder on the onside, because he's getting the ball to move around laterally, whether it's in the air or off the surface.
Yep, he's got pace. He's shown on the whole good control. He turns at the end of his mark now, the floodlights beaming down. Rohit on 49. Robinson is in outside the off stump. That's the channel. Had Rohit coming forward, shaping to play and leaving comfortably in the end, but he knew it wasn't the one to play at.
Yeah, that's much better. Even if the batter is not playing at it, even though it was like 5th, 6th stump, rather easy delivery for a batter to let go outside the off stump. But this much better. Not at least the fact that he's not giving away runs, he's not letting the batter to rotate the strike. At this point in time, I mean, there are these, get this gut feel that you want Rohit to be on strike if you're a bowling unit right now.
It's a catcher at short mid-wicket as Robinson is in, clipped off the legs, just wide of short mid-wicket, and Rohit Sharma goes through for the single that brings up his 50. And a rousing round of applause at Lord's. Rohit Sharma, it's the 20th score of 50 plus for him in his career. He's got 7 test hundreds. He meets KL Rahul in the centre of the pitch to touch gloves, now raises his bats towards the Lord's dressing room, acknowledgement of 50 off 83 balls.
Wonderful knock. Not an easy time to bat with overcast conditions and with the kind of bowling attack that England has, but he's been really, really watchful and disciplined.
It's what India needed, steering this opening partnership towards 71 now. Robinson is in, full and straight, defended by Rahul into the onside. Picked up by Dom Sibley, no run to end the over, so Rohit 50 not out, KL Rahul on 15, 71 without loss. I mentioned the number of balls. Andy, how many boundaries for Rohit?
8 fours in that 4 from that one over from Sam Curran. So this is his 20th 50 plus score, 700s against England. His 3rd in 12 innings. The one century had against England was that 161 earlier in the year.
Yep, the first 50 of the series then for Rohit, 36 in the first innings at Trent Bridge. And said his mode of play, it's sort of wonderful to see a batsman who can be so attacking and aggressive in the one-day format, shift mode and be able to knuckle down and play so judiciously
True,
in the test format.
And if you look at Rohit, he's an established white ball cricketer. He doesn't really need to do this. And then you realize how important test cricket is for even someone like Rohit.
New over for Mark Wood. 3 slips in place, and Wood In now to Rohit, so it's gone past him, it's squared him up. How that didn't take the edge, it looked mighty close from behind the batsman. And Mark Wood has a bit of a smile and a grin on his face. And he knows he had him well beaten.
Oh, that's a wonderful delivery again. Just a bit of lateral movement away from Rohit. But that's the other thing both these Indian batters have done really well. It's not to push at it, it's play within themselves.
Seems to be a little bit of late movement there. You could see Jos Buttler sort of shape to take the ball in his gloves, one side of his body, and then have to take it towards his right hip. Rohit having just reached his 50, facing up now to Mark Wood outside the off stump, and a confident leave and a shouldering of arms from Rohit Sharma getting well forward. That sense of Test cricket being important to somebody like Rohit Sharma, has that always been there? Do you sense, when I've heard Virat Kohli speak quite a lot of late, and particularly I recall when India had the series win in Australia a few years ago, and he really stated Test cricket being the pinnacle. How much of this is down to Kohli's leadership around the importance of tests?
A lot, because he's always kind of given Test match cricket that status.
Rohit faces forward and Wood is there beside the off stumps, a little bit of a push, half push, not really committing, and behind square to Burns at point no run.
And that is important, because being the leader, that's what he's kind of filtered through to every player, that how important Test cricket is. If you've noticed in the last 3-4 years, he's missed or he's rested for one-day series or a T20 series. But I can't think, apart from that one-off Afghanistan Test match, that he's actually rested. Obviously in Australia he had a family thing, so he had to come back.
Went home for the birth of his daughter.
That's right. So apart from that, I mean, he hasn't really missed any Test cricket.
Wood rushing in, lead and sky still at Lord's. Oh, big top edge and the pull from Rohit, but he's got plenty on it. Over the rope and over the hover cover for 6. Well, swung away. And the ball flying over deep, fine leg for 6.
I tell you, these bats, he kind of middled it with his edge. Wow.
Pretty thick edge.
Very thick edge. Very, very thick edge. You could see the reaction from Wood. He had his shoulders droop because he's actually beaten the batter here. He got the edge, but unfortunately for him, it sailed all the way through into the stands for 6.
Yep, hoping that would have gone more vertically rather than distance. But Sam Curran down on the long leg boundary, yeah, no chance at all. Flying over his head. Rohit's on to 56, India 77 without loss. Facing up again here to Wood, it's outside the off stump, he leaves it alone, fullish length. The ball goes through to Jos Buttler. Joe Root's giving the ball a good rub on the back of his trousers now. A couple of times earlier today he'd approached the umpire, Joe Root, to say, I think the ball might be going out of shape, but it hadn't.
In fact, wasn't the 5th over?
Yeah, very early on the first time, wasn't it? And then again when they went off for rain just prior to the early lunch being called. Might sometimes, well, often see teams do that when they're searching for a wicket, particularly having opted to bowl first.
Yeah, it's the ball's fault, isn't it?
Oh, so often. No wicket yet for England, and Wood is in. Sets off that long run, arms by his side as he runs in outside the off stump. A little dabble, he thought about playing at that. Just held the bat back at the very last moment, and Mark Wood again a sharp intake of breath. 77 on the board. Still no wicket.
Yeah, I guess the plan here against Rohit would be to kind of, bowl that short pitch delivery every now and then, because he's a compulsive puller at times. He's sucked into that shot because it comes so instinctively to him. More often than not, he's in control, but there are times when he's got himself out playing that shot, as like the first Test match was a good example of that, in Australia as well. So it's not a bad idea every now and then, pitch one shot, see what he does with it.
I think I just caught sight of the speeds on the scoreboard, and I reckon that it was the short ball from Wood. There's a 96 mile an hour delivery in there. I think that's what I saw, if my eyes didn't deceive me. I'll get Andy to double check that. The last ball of the over was 93. So he is cranking it up. New over. Ollie Robinson from the nursery end, outside the off stump, quite well judged leave. KL Rahul through to the keeper, just stepping across and letting it go through.
So he's gone back to his plan A now. So he's got 6 on the offside and 3 on the onside. So it'll be interesting to see what line he bowls. The first delivery was spot on, just outside off stump, perfect line. I mean, I think he rather bowl with this field than the one he had in the last over. With an extra fielder on the onside, he's got 3 slip in position. He's got a point, a cover, and a mid-off.
Robinson past the umpire into Rahul, a little straighter. He's able to turn it square into the onside, but Moeen Ali skips across to his right-hand side from mid-wicket field, and the cry of no run for KL Rahul, who's now scraping away at the crease with the soles of his spiked cricket boots, pads down the pitch with the toe end of his bat. He's ready to face again. Grey, fluffy clouds enveloping Lords today. A big soft duvet draped over the ground. Robinson turns at the end of his mark. 3 slips, a backward point, extra cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, fine leg. Robinson in, full, coming forward. Rahul back up the pitch, and Robinson picks up in his follow-through, gives the batsman a little bit of a glare, and then starts to walk back to the end of his mark. India 77 without loss. Rohit Sharma 56 not out down at the non-strikers end. KL Rahul on 15. Sort of hum around the ground. Robinson turns, sets off. Up past the umpire, up to the stumps now, bowls outside the off stump. KL Rahul taking a big stride forward that time, a little bit of movement up the slope towards Butler, no run. Andy, what have you got?
It was the second ball of Mark Wood's over that was timed at 96 miles an hour, 95.78 according to the CricViz.
Well, we'll call that 96.
He had a 95.4 and a 94.3 in the previous over as well. It's been rapid from Wood so far.
Yeah, it really has been. Deep Dasgupta has made way for Mark Ramprakash back in alongside me.
Yeah, very good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. Robinson in, full in on the pads, clipped down very straight to mid-on, but good piece of fielding. James Anderson throwing his 39-year-old body onto the floor. Ever committed, Jimmy Anderson. Save a run.
What a fantastic effort from Jimmy Anderson there. I mean, just having a little snooze at mid-on, watching proceedings, and all of a sudden a firm on drive from Rahul sees him sprinting a few yards to his left and a full-length dive.
Sprinting and sprawling. Robinson sets off again. In now and bowls. Some movement away down the slope that time, but sufficiently wide of that off stump for KL Rahul to leave it alone. 77 on the board then. Rohit Sharma 56 not out. KL Rahul on 15. What have you made then of proceedings since lunch?
Well, there's much talk of Wood's speeds. I'm pleased to see him being used in a conventional fashion. I think far too often I've seen Mark Wood used as a bit of a battering ram, lots of short balls, split field. But here in these conditions, there's a bit of orthodox swing, and he can attack the top of off with the odd short ball.
The last ball was a no ball, which means Robinson is still bowling this over. One more delivery and it's full. And KL Rahul came forward, bat and pad close together. And it's a dot ball. The ball ran into the onside. Those no ball calls come late, don't they? With the calling coming from the TV trucks, you glance away thinking it's the end of the over, and it's not after all. But yeah, Mark Wood, I mean, that short ball that had KL Rahul jumping, that was a really well-directed, vicious, fast-paced bouncer.
It was, and it's the follow-up ball. It's not, you see, that short ball is designed to take away the feet, the footwork, that Rahul won't be thinking about coming forward with so much confidence. And so, Wood is a guy that can operate as he has done for Durham in years gone past, in an orthodox fashion. I think Joe Root at times in Test matches has made him bowl short as some sort of enforcer, with a different type of strategy. And I'm pleased to see him as he sprints in at the pavilion end.
Yep, to bowl to Rohit as an inside edge. He's along the ground down to fine leg for 4. Sam Curran can't cut that off. But Mark Wood is feeling like no fortune is going his way at the moment, that's for sure.
Well, it isn't. He's unlucky here, 94 miles an hour, and he's beaten Sharma for pace here. This is back of a length. It's raced off the surface. Sharma's late on it, and an inside edge just past the stumps. But this is what Wood is good at, I think, and he will create chances by bowling quickly, but with more balls in and around the top of off, with the odd short ball to disconcert the batsman.
The crowd have just become alive to the speeds of Wood because it's just flashed up on the big screen as he's in again now outside the off stump. He's thrown himself almost to the floor in his follow through. The ball's gone through to Jos Buttler. Similar in after the last delivery as well, just losing his footing, all the energy that he puts in at the crease.
That delivery in the last over 95.7 miles an hour is the second quickest Mark Wood has bowled according to the CricViz ball speed data in his Test career. He's bowled over 600 overs. All 4 of his fastest balls in Test cricket have been this summer. 2 to Kane Williamson in the New Zealand Test, and 1 to Rahul and 1 to Sharma today.
Well, he bowled at 93 miles per hour. That came on the big screen. The big screen just showed 94. That brought the crowd a bit of oh, come on. They're behind Mark Wood now. Leap at the crease outside the off stump and well wide and left alone by Rohit Sharma through to Buttler. No run.
So I suppose he's fit and fresh, isn't he? Because he's hardly played.
Oh, yeah, that is one
so
thing.
It's no wonder he's sprinting in.
You sort of do want to keep him under cotton wool to a degree, don't you, given the surgeries he's had. 3 surgeries on the ankle of his, and of course he missed the 2019 Ashes, so he will be so eager to be fit, like whatever transpires this winter. Yeah, just to keep him fit and firing. He's a wonderful weapon to have, and particularly his pace now becomes even more important with Jofra Archer out for the rest of the year, to have that sheer speed. He turns, pavilion behind him. Rohit's on 60 now, and Wood gives him a ball he can pull, and he pulls it ferociously in front of square. Rohit enjoyed that battle, and he got a delivery he could latch onto, and he moved quickly.
Yeah, it's a brilliant shot. Rohit Sharma, one of the few players in world cricket that can pull a ball like this, and he gets in position so early, seemingly having all the time in the world. The ball probably just above waist height. Really hit it hard through mid-wicket down to the tavern boundary. Super shot.
It's quite spectacular when you see, that the bowler's bowling fast, but you've got a batsman who's willing and able to take him on like that. Wood in again, a little fuller this time, and it's defence from Rohit. Angles the bat, and the ball ricochets down into the ground behind square, and Burns is there to field. 86 without loss now. India. Rohit onto 64. It's a good contest at the moment, a good battle. How fast can Wood bowl? Can he trouble Rohit? We've seen one big top edge fly off his bat with a pull shot attempt, a ball that was rising, and that ball flew high off the edge and down over fine leg for 6. That time he absolutely middled the pullable height, but played with such authority in front of square. Wood is rushing in again. Last ball of the over, a little wider of the crease. Defence from Rohit. He fired that ball into him. Again, ball angles away behind square to Burns. And it's the end of quite a pulsating over. 86 runs on the board for India. Rohit on 64, KL Rahul on 15. Andy Zaltzman, you have something for us, and then Jonathan Agnew's coming back in.
We'll talk about batsmen having gears. Rohit Sharma 8 from his first 46 balls today, since when 56 runs from 49 balls with 6 and 10 fours. Spectacular cricket.
Wonderful pull shot. 90 odd miles an hour, just poof, through mid-wicket you go. It's gripping, and this is a terrific start by India. It really is. We put in, as they were this morning, cloudy skies, the ball swinging about. They played with real discipline. There was that one opportunity, had there been a short leg, and there wasn't. But otherwise, they've just lined everything up so well. And what a cheer for Moeen, who's taken his cap off, shaven-headed, bushy-bearded, and is coming back to bowl in his first home test, I'm thinking, since the Ashes of 2019 at Edgbaston, which didn't go according to plan. Hasn't played a first-class match since February. He's been thrashing it everywhere in the 100, and now he's got his whites on again, and is coming on to bowl his first ball for England for a while. 86 for no wicket, and he's bowling to Rahul, who's on 15, and the first ball is tucked away. It's stopped there by Hamid, blocked really at short leg. There's also a slip. There are 2 men out, in fact 3 men out in total. There's a a deep cover. There's a huge gap there in the offside. There's a deep backward square leg and deep mid-wicket as Moen again moves in and bowls outside the off stump. There's no stroke from Rahul, who stretches that front foot forward. And it's collected by Butler. He's got a helmet on, clapping his gloves together as Moen pauses for a moment and then steps in again and bowls pretty straight, turned carefully to mid-wicket where Burns is fielding quite close there. He's there for the lofted drive, really, the clipped aerial drive at mid-wicket. Mid-on, quite deep. Moen again parts his hands, moves in and bowls. Very tidy stuff so far. It's fielded by Hamid there. He's got some white tape on the fingers of his left hand. So the legacy of an old bruise of some sort. 86 for no wicket. Moen again. Over the wicket, bowls, and again carefully defended by KL Rahul. Moen picks the ball up, polishes it with his left hand and puts a bit of dry dust on his bowling fingers and moves in to complete what he hopes will be a maiden over. In he goes, bowls a bit of width. Oh, almost giving an edge there. It was too close to play that forcing shot, I think. Almost giving the edge, and Moen's back with a maiden. And he's almost managing a smile there. He's having a little chat with Joss Butler as he walks past him, but Rahul there just, you see so often that catch given to the keeper, a little bit too close. Just a fraction away. Moen's back, Rams.
Yeah, it was a good tidy start actually, wasn't it? And you just wonder whether it's in the script that he gets the breakthrough from England. Interesting to bowl him from the nursery end. You know, John Embry, who off spinner, played here for many years, always seemed to bowl at the pavilion end, obviously with the slope helping the turn for the off spinner.
Well, it's getting more or less a standing ovation down there for a maiden. So well done, Mo. If he gets a wicket, I think the place will erupt. That was the applause from down there. He's got his cap off and he's down there at fine leg because there's a change of bowling at the far end and Sam Curran is coming back. But to the end, I would have thought he should have started, really. Everything was set up for him to bowl at that end. So I think they've got a few things wrong today, England, with their bowling plans, the ends they've bowled. What was Wood's spell there?
None for 22 from 5.
Okay. Still gloomy, and the floodlights are on. But the slope, you feel, should suit Curran more from the pavilion end. He had 4 boundaries taken off him in 1 over by Rowett earlier on, so they're quite expensive. 5 overs for 28. 2 men are out on the leg side as Curran bustles in and bowls, and Rowett turns him away off his pads. He picks up a single to man jogging in from deep square leg. 1 run taken.
See, that's the bit I don't get, Aggers, is the deep square leg straight away. You know, that's a you know, it's not a bad ball, but batsman's just flicked it away, got an easy single. I don't see why someone of the quality of Sam Curran should have a deep square leg, first ball to be spelled. Really.
It's a gimme, isn't it, really? A bit of a searching ball flicked away. And an easy single. Here's Curran again, bowls, and again it's on the leg stump, and again it's flicked away. Now Robinson or Field coming in off the boundary. Down to our left-hand side. It really is quite murky now. It's sort of light metered territory or thereabouts. Very good floodlights here at Lord's, but without them, they certainly would not be playing. So you see the shadows at the feet of the fielders. It was rather a bad sign. Square leg umpire looks a bit fidgety. Curran on his way, bowls, turned again by Sharma for an easy single to that square leg that, well, he isn't there, he's out on the boundary to our left, so a lot of space there. 1 more to India, 89 for no wicket. It's a terrific start, given the decision to put them in under those conditions that prevailed, well, then and now, if we're honest. I mean, it's just as cloudy now as it was. Floodlights on, it just feels like a really good time to bowl. Rahul's on 16, another very patient innings. Curran bowls to him, flicks his pad, Butler can't stop it. So Moen's rushing round the boundary here, and they'll come back for 2 leg byes. The score's just going along at a nice rate, considering 3 and over roundabout. So, given the advantage that you thought that England had at the start, but they certainly didn't make India's openers play enough in my view anyway. They left a lot. Some of that obviously good judgment. Curran again bowls short, back goes Rahul, and Sibley moves in to field that at cover. But that's the skill of the opener, isn't it? To know what to leave and to try and drag the bowler a bit straighter and then clip him away for a run or 2 through the leg side, say.
Yeah, I think we have to praise these 2 Indian opening batsmen. They've really shown good application. They've played the ball late, backed their defence. But Sharma now is a tricky customer because he's got the range of shot and the confidence to really hurt England now that he's in.
Last ball of the over. Curran moves in, bowls beautifully driven by Rahul, but Curran's able to take virtually all the pace off that. They would have gone for 4 straight down the ground if he hadn't done so. 91 for no wicket. He's searching a bit, Curran. I think he's bowled his full length, which he was punished for earlier on. 30 overs gone, 91 for no wicket on a grey day here in London. I hope the sun's shining where you are. I thought the forecast was set fair for the week, I must say, but there's even been a possibility of a threat of some rain around over the weekend, so we'll keep an eye on that. Moeen's going to continue. That slip on the short leg, and there have been no prizes for guessing who the short leg fielder was going to be today. Young lad back in the side. Good luck, Haas, get him on. In you go. It just always happens, doesn't it? 91 for no wicket. As Moeen moves in again and bowls, and that's steered away, and he fields there at short leg. I remember Ian Bell giving it away. I think we were in New Zealand, and a young batsman came. I can't remember who it was now, in Dunedin. I'm sure Andy can look it up. The last time we played a test in Dunedin. There goes Moeen, bowls, tossing it up. They get a single. Mid-on's quite deep there. Johnny Bairstow, 92 for no wicket. And I remember sort of arguing that all the years that Ian Bell had spent practicing, training, catching there, he'd done it all, hadn't he? I mean, he really was pretty good in there as well. Young lad, poof, off he go, and Belly was out running around the outfield. You know what I mean? It's just always the way, isn't it? The young lad gets put in there. Moeen again. Goals, and that's played firmly back. It was a match in which Steve Finn entertained us royally for his Night Watchman epic. For that, Reed bored everyone to tears, but it was the Watford wall. In goes Moeen again, pushed away into the offside. Butler's after it. It was a mix-up, and he gets back into his ground. And Rahul there wanted the run. Sharma wasn't going anywhere. And as Butler went out into the offside, Rahul committed himself, but he was sent back by Sharma. Lots of apologies going on now, raised hands and that sort of a thing, saying sorry mate, but Rahul wanted that. I think he would probably have got it too, but Sharma didn't fancy it. 92 for no wicket. Rahul's on 16, twiddles the bat, just settling himself down again. His heart would have been in his mouth there for a moment. Moeen moves in, bowls to forward he comes, sucking that away to Burns, fielding at short mid-wicket. Polish of the ball on the back of the trousers again. Tossed up forward as Rahul has gone in exactly the same place, but Moeen's there quickly this time. A loud cry of no from Rahul just to make sure that there's no mix-up. 92 for no wicket. 31 overs gone. Another tidy over from Moeen Ali. Crowd sounds on good form. It's just lovely to hear that noise. Sort of semi-animated, but people just relaxed, having a nice after lunch chat. And lots of people, I guess, here for the first time too. Another round of applause for Moeen, heading down here to our left. Taking a swig of water. 92 for no wicket. Sharma's on strike to Curran, whose very, very blonde hair is rather lit up by these floodlights now. It's a real straw colour, isn't it? He's been busy with the dye bottle. I suspect he didn't do it himself. It's professionally done, I reckon. Very, very blonde. the ball a rub on his trousers. Waiting for one of the 12th men to go scurrying off, delivering some fresh gloves to India's batsman. Away he goes up the steps to the long room with no members in it, but members of England's coaching staff I see settled in there with a great view. Curran's on his way, bowls outside the off stump, a nice length that, and Sharma stretches forward languidly, raises the bat, and through it goes to the keeper. I see Craig Overton on the field at cover, looking for a suspect to have gone off. Where's Jimmy Anderson? No, he's at mid-on. Ollie Robinson's down at square leg, getting to look round the bowlers to start with. Curran bowls, and back goes Sharma. Overton comes in again at cover. And there's no run. So who is off the field? He's talking to Rory Burns. Where's Sibley? Sibley's at slip.
It's Bairstow off.
Bairstow off. 92 for no wicket. And Curran bowls, and forward comes Sharma, and that's a hat-trick for Overton. He's certainly getting his fielding in for this period of time that he's going to be out there. Might not be there for long. Bairstow scuttling off for some reason or other. And where are England going to get a wicket from? So that's what Joe Root's thinking. He's got his sunglasses on the peak of his cap at the moment, standing at first slip. Always lots going through a captain's mind. Curran moves in, bowls, front about the pads, and strikes Sharma. He couldn't get that away. He'll be cross about that because there's a bit of a getaway stroke there, just sending it out to that man on the boundary. 67 for Rohit Sharma from 103 balls. Rahul's digging in. Geoffrey Boycott will be admiring that from the box that I've seen him sitting in. 16 from 88 balls. That's a sort of opener's innings that Geoffrey would admire. 92 for no wicket. Curran's on his way, and that time Sharma does get it off those pads to deep square leg for the single. 93 for no wicket. I see Jeffrey's in the same box as Rishi Sunak, so that could be an interesting conversation. Didn't Jeffrey let fly once in here about the bankers? I think he did, didn't he? He's probably got, so Rishi's, I think if I were Rishi I might get my earplugs in.
Hasn't he got a house in Yorkshire though, Rishi Sunak?
Has he?
I think he's got a house up north.
Probably got a few, hasn't he?
I think he has.
93 for no wicket. Here's Curran again. Last ball of the over. It's outside the off stump. There's no stroke from Rahul. Remains 16 not out. It's 93 for no wicket. Lovely to see Michael Parkinson here as well today. I think one of those boxes. Loves cricket. Loves cricket. Played it. Wrote a lot about it. And actually was commentating on the film section. If you go onto YouTube and you look up Michael Holding, Geoffrey Boycott, that infamous over in Barbados, it's actually Michael commentating on that piece, which you can still find. However many times you look at it, Geoffrey, that leg stump still flying out of the ground. Then goes Moeen, starting a new over. Rohit's forward, plays him up towards mid-off. It doesn't get there. Moeen intercepts. He always maintains it's his off stump. Critics will say it was the leg stump. Whichever one it was, it was blown out of the ground a very long way. Here's Moeen once more, bowling a slightly lower arm. Sharma thinks about a single, but he won't get it. It's fielded there by a man coming in from backward point. Sibley. 93 for no wicket. Still borderline light. As Moeen moves in again, bowls. He's down the pitch and thumping this over mid-on. Bounces just inside the rope. And Overton down here must have thought for a moment with his heart in his mouth that he might get a catch launched at him, but it just went over his head. Bounced maybe just a foot inside the boundary edging. Bit of a skimmer from Sharma. Nice to see there that Overton signalled 4 for the umpires, and the umpires took his word for it and signalled 4. We haven't got to go through all the process of seeing where it landed. So Overton's coming all the way back now. So easy single, but will he take him on again, I wonder? This is short. Oh, and he just pats that away off the back foot. And there'll be 2 here. As Robinson wheels round in front of the mound stand. 99 for no wicket. Now Rohit, from an England perspective, is looking extremely dangerous. Well, you could say the same for an Indian perspective too. He's just looking in beautiful form. 74 for no wicket. Still short leg crouching there as Moeen bowls to him, and he plays that again quite carefully, defiantly, solidly down to the mid-on fieldsman, and that's the 100 for India. And I must say, if you'd offered Virat Kohli that when I interviewed him at about 11:15 this morning, and he'd been put into bat, and he had one of those looks you see on a captain's face when he knew it was going to be a bit of a challenge. Well, if you offer him 100 for no wicket, wow, he'd have absolutely grabbed that. Really good start. Dominated by Sharma. So Rahul's on strike now. And for him, they're bringing up the man from deep backwards square leg. They're still out of deep mid wicket. Moeen again. Trots up, bowls, and Rahul, as patient as you like, simply comes forward, sends the ball 2 or 3 yards, and Hamid picks it up. So it's the end of the over. It's exactly 100 for no wicket. KL Rahul 16, Rohit Sharma 75. More thoughts from Mark Ramprakash, and then Simon Mann's coming in here.
Well, watching these 2 Indian openers, I can't praise them enough, really, for the way they've adapted and played in these conditions. The pitch hasn't been as quick as the one a few weeks ago when England were playing against New Zealand, and but nevertheless they've played straight, they've applied themselves, and they've been up for the challenge. And of course, although Sharma has dominated the scoring, Rahul has played his part in the partnership, and that's what I'm sure the Indian dressing room will be looking at, is trying to produce partnerships all the way down their innings and bat big in this first innings.
Here is Curran going into bowl to Rohit Sharma, who tries to cut that and misses. He was looking for that backward point boundary, and it went through to Butler. 100 for no wicket. It does look ominous for England, it really does. The way these 2 have played in the conditions. India building a threatening position here. Okay, so they put together 97 in the last test match and still got bowled out for 270. But I feel so much is in favour of the bowling side. Lights on, overcast, ball has moved. Curran bowls, forward goes Rohit, plays it towards backward point, picked up by Burns, and there's no run. There's such a statement of intent from these 2. I mean, you've got to remember, you've got actually 2 players playing completely different games here. Rohit 75 off 111, and KL Rahul only 16. They're trying to get the ball changed again, England? I think so.
Just a little more on that 100 opening stand came out from 32.5 overs. They almost managed it in the last test. They have managed it here. It's the first 100 opening stand against England in England since 2016. 35 tests since Karunaratne and Silva added 100 for Sri Lanka on this ground.
Here's Curran going into bowl to Rohit. Gets the bat down just in time there. Curran with his hands in the air. He thought he got through, but Rohit clipped it back with a square for 2 runs. 2 fielders converge, Moeen and Robinson. They hit it between them. 102 for no wicket. Rohit to 77.
It's only India's second 100 opening stand against England since the Oval Test of 1979. Dinesh Karthik, his pre-flamboyant shirt days, and Wasim Jaffer in 2007 put on 147 at Trent Bridge in 2007. And one more opening stand stat, Simon. Well, then
I'll allow it.
I'll leave you
Hold
to
on. After this ball, though, from Curran. Although actually Curran's changing the field. He's bringing Robinson just round a bit, a deep square leg. And that Curran Sets up, he's bowling from the pavilion end. Up to the stumps and ball short, swung away, and it's gone down to Moeen. Robinson didn't pick that up at all. I was looking at him at deep square legs. I lost it for a moment as well, and he had his arms out. He said, "Where's that gone?" But fortunately for him, it went along the ground to Moeen Ali at fine leg. Single. Rohit to 78 and India to 103 for no wicket.
It's the 47th time England have won the toss and chosen to bowl at home. Only the 6th time the opposition openers have added 100, having been put into bat in the first innings of a match. The highest, 128, Slater and Taylor in 1993.
So we're moving towards a record potentially, are we? Here's KL Rahul playing that back down the pitch to Curran, who picks up, and there's no run. So if they get that put on 129, that'll be the highest opening partnership by an opposition side having been put into bat in England or at Lord's?
In England, that's so the opening innings of the game, so first innings having been put into bat.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so they are 26 runs away from that, and that really would rub it in, wouldn't it? But I mean, it did feel like the right decision this morning. Kohli said he would have bowled as well. Curran goes in, bowls to Rahul, and Rahul pushes it on the front foot up towards mid-on, and there is no run. Curran has bowled 8 overs for 35, and India, after 34 overs of their innings, are going along swimmingly. 103 for no wicket. The determination, the doggedness of Rahul, and the class of Rohit Sharma. 78 not out. Sort of innings, okay, it's different in character in one sense because it was all spin, the ball was turning, but in terms of dominance, similar to that innings he played in Chennai, the first innings of the second test match after England had crushed India in the first test, and then India fought back, and for my money he was clearly the player of the match in that game. And they gave it to Ravichandran Ashwin for wickets and 100, but it was a sort of free 100 if you can have one of those in test cricket. Seems a bit harsh in a sense, but here is Moeen bowling a new over to Rohit Sharma, who comes stabbing forward and defends into the offside. But it was Rohit who really set up the game. He set the course of the match with that brilliant innings. 103 for no wicket. Lights beaming down. It is a gloomy afternoon. Here's Moeen bowling to Rohit, and Rohit plays it carefully back down the pitch. Hamid is fielding it short mid-on, bends down to his left, picks it up and lobs it to Moeen. There's a long on in, deep mid-wicket, deep cover, deep backwards square leg. Moeen bowls and Rohit plays defensively again, back up the pitch, and there's no run. So he's got 4 men outside the circle. Root that slipped with his hands on his hips. And 103 for no wicket. Moeen to Rohit forward. Butler comes behind the stumps to pick up, running out towards cover. Gets there before Sibley. Big crowd in. You can hear the hum, doubtless, in our effects microphone. And it's been a day totally dominated by India. Here is Moeen Ali bowling, clipped away past that short mid-on fielder up towards the wide long on boundary. Best is down beneath us. In front of the new Compton stand, sends in the return to Moeen, and they are through for another run. 104 for no wicket. Ramps has gone, another former Middlesex and England player is in alongside me. Changing the field now, Tuffers is here.
Yeah, I don't mind this. There's no point in having them all on the boundary.
Hamid's come from short mid-on to silly point for KL Rahul, and long on's come up. Best, although he's quite deep still. There's a single to him, deepish mid-on. Moeen bowls, and Rahul does exactly that. He punches it up towards Best at deep mid-on, and they're through for a single, and he keeps the bowling. It's the end of the over. 35 gone. India 105 for no wicket. Rahul 17, Rohit Sharma 79.
Yeah, it's a bit of the tortoise and the hare at the moment, isn't it? Rohit Sharma's playing it beautifully, and Rahul's doing his job as well, keeping him company. I don't mind seeing a bit of Moeen Ali. I think that's a good ploy, but if you're going to come on, you're going to, as a spin bowler on the first day, you know that they're going to be coming after you because there's no turn, and you've got to use your craft a bit. So you may as well take a bit of a punt. If you just have everyone back, you're just kind of playing into the batsman's hands here, and they're just milking you out. They've got to earn the right to milk you. And so I know Rohit Sharma came down the wicket and hit him back over his head, but You know, you've got to use him right, even if it's just for a 4 or 5 over spell, just to see what happens. You never know, he might come down the track and mistime one or something like that, but there's no point in coming on sort of conceded before you've even bowled.
Curran bowls outside the off stump. Rahul leans forward and lets it go through to Butler.
You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, one on the boundary there, one on the boundary, all back. Well, okay, well, why are you coming on to bowl then, really? I think it's not Mo's fault, you know, but you've got to give that little bit of jeopardy.
He came on at 86 for no wicket. After, you know, the pace bowlers, in these conditions, you would have expected them to make 1 or 2 breakthroughs. But it's not easy to come on in that situation.
Perhaps Root has just thought, right, okay, we're going to give the guys a little bit of a breather. Mo can go at 2 or 3 and over, and we haven't lost too much.
Curran bowls, turned away by Rahul. Straight delivery towards deep back with square leg, through for a single. I mean, it does also have the virtue of improving the over rate. England have already lost 2 points, and India as well in the World Test Championships.
And 40% of their salary.
So how many points did they get for that last game? Down to 4. Is it 6 to 4?
I think
6 for the draw, was it?
4 to 2.
4 to 2. So it's 4 for the draw, was it?
Yes, that's what I read this morning. But we saw Australia lost a place in the final in the first edition of the World Test Championship on slow over rates.
That's right.
A lesson not been learned.
Curran goes into bowl. Oh, an inside edge from Rohit Sharma past his leg stump. Didn't know where that went. He swiveled his head round and saw it went down to fine leg. Moeen runs round, sends in the return to Butler. They're through for 2 more. 108 for no wicket.
It was interesting. I was just having a chat with Deep out the back about Rohit Sharma. He says that he does go through this sort of period. It'd be interesting to see his stats when he's sort of like around this 70, when he goes up and down in the gears, and he's sort of like, you know, got himself in beautifully. Then he's looked to come out after lunch and sort of put the hammer down a bit and played a few more shots. And now he's just sort of like, oh crikey, do I keep going or do I go back into my sort of blocking mode and get myself to 80 or 90?
Well, he's 81 now. Here's Curran bowling to him, and he comes forward, does block it into the offside.
It's sort of like, oh, I don't want to, you know, it's that little sort of awkward period. You know, 80 odd. Do you kick on for your 100 or do you just sort of wait for the bad ball?
He's 81 of 120 balls.
Played nicely again, hasn't he? He's a good player.
He had 8 off his first 46. This is now his highest score in tests outside India.
Yeah, and that's the reason, perhaps. Perhaps he gets that feeling.
Curran goes in, bowls. Rohit guides it away towards backward point, and there is no run.
He's just ridiculously got so much time.
I know.
When you watch it from here, I mean, when he was facing that real good spell, I think Mark would bowl a couple at 95 miles an hour, and he's just sort of stop. He just sort of went on the forward defensive.
He's a delightful player to watch.
Just so much time. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a lovely player to watch.
He is. One of my favourites, I think.
Yeah. High class player. 108 for no wicket. Curran bowls to him, and he plays an extraordinary looking shot there. There's a ball outside the off stump. He tried to sort of flick it, almost flip it into the onside. He hit it straight to Hamid at mid wicket, and then afterwards he plays a cut shot, which might have been the shot he probably should have played. But who am I to tell him what shot to play? I mean,
that's a little bit of a
taking
shots.
Yeah. I could have played 2 shots for that ball, if not 3.
And we were saying about how much time he has got. As you say, it was short of a length outside off stump, but he's just trying to drag it round to sort of mid wicket.
Drinks coming onto the field. England, well, it probably needs something just to break up the game, break a bit of concentration, something here. It's 108 for no wicket. By the way, I asked Mike Atherton about the shark, and he said,
yes.
He said, oh, I just dragged it to reception.
It was in Napier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right, Napier. David Lloyd was our coach. I had a little word with David Lloyd at lunchtime. Yeah, is that what he said in his very way? Oh, that silly boys! I just dragged it to reception.
Interesting one for the receptionist.
Yes, exactly. Excuse me, I found a shark in my bed. Yeah. Don't tell everyone; they'll all want one.
Right. So drinks. 3 o'clock, and we've had 36 overs.
What should we talk about?
Well, how many overs have we got left in the day? And what time are we finishing tonight?
Well, according to Cricinfo, still full 54 overs remaining. I think I saw during the lunch break that the scheduled end of play is now 6:50, but with
7:20, I'm told.
We could go till 7:20.
7:20, right, okay. And we might get there tonight, actually, if the overs haven't been bowled, because I saw the forecast suggests that the sun might come out late afternoon, early evening.
We've had a rainy summer, haven't we?
Well, the other bizarre thing, about Trent Bridge the other day, as soon as they called it off,
it was beautiful.
It stopped raining, and then after that, there was a brief shower, but it was a lovely evening in Nottingham. And they, this idea of bad light or whatever, and if they'd waited, would they be able to play till 7:30? They could have played at 7:30 because it was still bright at 7:30. So anyway, the outfield was wet.
Yeah,
but
yes. It would have been.
Alan Davis emails. This is what is wrong with Test cricket as a spectator sport, where one should be aiming to satisfy the reasonable expectations of the paying customer. Started 30 minutes late, then had a rain break, and then, when the rain has stopped and the covers have been taken off, there was a further 40-minute break for lunch during perfect playing conditions. Why do they need lunch after playing cricket for just over an hour? You could not make it up. I must say, I did find it inexplicable that they didn't call lunch for 1 o'clock. They called it for 1:10 because they went off about 6 minutes to 1. It's common sense to say, well, it's going to take them 10-15 minutes to get the covers off. If they are able to do that, then when they come out for 10-15 minutes and then go off for lunch, so you just call it straight away and then get on with the game. 25 to 2.
You're still allowing lunch, though. You're still allowing the boys to have some lunch.
I'm not so much against lunch. It's more the fact they should just call it straight away.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not.
Especially at Lord's, it's a beauty. I like me lunch.
Lots of one-day cup matches today, by the way. Those are online if you want to listen to those. If you want to dip into them. Don't want you to lose you, but there is that option if you want to. 108 for no wicket. Plays about to resume after the drinks break.
Well, the drinks break is a bit... So there's sometimes that happens, isn't it? When you just come out and you have 10 minutes and then you all stop and have another drink. Have another drink.
The batters get drinks brought out to them. I mean, to be fair to them, I suppose they've been out there for an hour and 10 minutes since lunch now.
It's tough. It's hard work, isn't it?
It's not that warm a day, but it's
exhausted. I'm getting old, aren't I?
The clock's ticking for all of us.
Well, I'm afraid so.
108 for no wicket. It's going to be Moeen to continue. He's going to be bowling to KL Rahul, 18 not out. And Moeen bowls to him. He cuts the ball. It's very close to off stump there.
Don't mind that line from Moeen.
And he hits it straight to backward pointer. It's picked up by Sibley. It was a tight one from Rahul, but he hit it pretty well.
Yeah, you can get an outside edge there. Slips in play here.
Hamid is still there at silly point. And Moeen bowls and Rahul comes right forward, getting the bat out in front of the pad, playing it back down the pitch.
He has dropped anchor, hasn't he? 97 balls for 18. Opens the batting for who does he in the IPL?
Well, he whacks it in white ball cricket. Yeah, he's got 100 against England in the one-day series in Pune, I think it was from memory. Here's Rahul blocking that one to a silly point, where it's picked up by Hamid.
Immaculate. Might be worth. I do like this line, the tiger line as we call it, for the off spinner, trying to bring in that outside. I wouldn't mind him perhaps in an over or two's time, just having a little look round the wicket.
Moeen to Rahul. He's beaten him there. Is it gone past the outside edge and dropped by Butler? I think it has. It's past the outside edge and past the stumps. Let's have a look. Butler didn't take it cleanly. It was a lovely delivery.
Loop, flight, guile, bit of dip. Might have got a edge on that.
We'll need the technology on it. Here's Moeen bowling. Rahul is on the front foot, guiding it towards backward point. And there is no run. I'm just seeing a replay now. Has he got a little feather on that? I'm not sure he has. But past the outside and just past the off stump as well.
That's all you can do really as a spinner on the first day of a test match.
Moeen to Rahul. He guides it up towards mid-on. Besto's onto it, but he's quite deep. And so Rahul ran with a shot. Nice positive running that time.
Don't like that
And they're through for a single.
See, why have that position?
Too deep, you mean?
Too deep to Rahul.
Yeah.
He's looking to block it. That just gives him a little release shot to get one.
Yeah.
Have him tighten the one. If you want it to Rohit Sharma, you can go back a little bit.
Here's the ultra edge on that.
Has he nicked
I
it?
don't think so. No, nothing on it.
No.
No. So it wasn't a drop catch. That really would rub it in. 109 for no wicket. Are you aware of this stat that results came up with? If India make 129,
Yes.
it'll be the highest score made by a team put into bat.
2016.
There's first 100 opening stand against England in England since 2016.
Oh,
If
sorry.
they make 129, it'll be the highest score for the opening wicket, the first wicket, by a team put into bat by England.
Ever.
Yes,
Oh, we've got an ever, have we?
Never.
Oh, we've got an ever.
in England.
In England. Ever in England.
Wow, okay. You would have had a bowl first, Simon, wouldn't you?
No, I'd have batted.
Oh.
Here's Curran bowling to Rahul. He pushes forward into the offside.
Harry Ironside. Yeah.
Picked up at cover. And there's no run. Well,
I need proof. I need
No,
proof. Is there any proof anywhere on a tweet or anything that you decided?
what I would say is I think it's sort of a batting pitch and a bowling day.
Exactly. Couldn't
So that
agree
was
more.
that was why it was a good toss to lose,
So
probably.
which one do you go for?
Yeah.
Probably the batting day. Even though England would have been 20 for 3. Or 40 for 3. Probably.
That's your hunch, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why then it goes against you sometimes, because if you're a confident side and you're in top form, you kind of go, listen, doesn't matter.
Curran moves in, bowls to Rahul, who's forward, pushing that back up the offside of the pitch.
I would have found
No
another
run.
Rahul Dravid here. He is the wall at the moment. He is impenetrable.
There's another one to come as well, in Pujara. Well, he's been
Wow.
But he's been-
Forgot about Pujara.
but he's been less secure. I mean, he's not in a great run of form, Pujara.
In the first test, Rahul made a similarly slow start, not for quite as long, 29 off 79. Then went almost a run a ball from then until he reached his 50.
He waits for Curran, who's with him now. And that's clipped away. Forward a square. Robinson away to his left. That's square leg. Picks it up. And they're through for a single. 110 for no wicket.
Tricky days for captains now, because you are sitting there at first step going, oh crikey, and you can feel that pressure starting to creep up your back of your neck,
And of course, if India had won the toss and batted first, you wouldn't be feeling that pressure, would you? It's
Absolutely
strange.
not. You're just going, come on, good stuff here, boys. They haven't got away
So
from
why
us.
is it that batting first is always seen as a default position? It shouldn't necessarily be so, should it?
But it's just
Just-
that you made the decision,
But the default is to bat first. Everyone thinks bat first, don't they, in a test match? That's the sort of received wisdom.
Is it?
Here's Curran outside the off stump. There's nothing from Rohit there, through to Butler.
I slightly disagree with you there. I think if you've got a flaky batting lineup, the default position is probably have a bowl first.
Yeah, I see that. But I mean, the sort of assumption is if the pitch.
You don't say we've been batting badly, it's overcast. Boys, I'm going to stick you in on a sticky door.
No.
Oh,
but-
sorry,
no.
I've got the wrong end of the stick.
Obviously, it's sort of condition dependent, but
Yeah.
like given sort of even conditions.
Yes.
Here's Curran bowling. It comes off the pad there. Rohit goes down fine. Given sort of even conditions, your tendency is to bat first, isn't it?
Well,
that's
it
the
was always mine, but it's not necessarily.
But if it's and you sort of have to have I think there's the received wisdom. You just have to have a very definite reason to bowl first. And this morning there were overhead conditions, and there's been a bit of drizzle around, and it's been raining in London quite a lot in the last couple of weeks. And
Yeah, if it's blue skies and a flat belter, you better.
or if it's blue skies, or
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. But a lot of people, I was surprised at the amount of people who are still, let's get bowling. I know, I never liked that way of thinking, but there was a few.
was a spinner you'd like your team to bat first
Well, of
anyway, because
course.
you bowl last.
Whatever.
Curran ran the wicket. Oh, it's a beauty, sliding it past the outside edge of Rahul's bat. He was angled in and left him,
Just got to
and
keep
through
going.
to Butler. I mean, there is enough there to work with
Yeah.
for the bowling side. 111 for no wicket. Rohit has 81. Rahul has 20.
Hasn't swung as much as I thought it would do today.
Apparently, Lords is not actually that big a spinning ground,
Swinging.
swinging ground. Sorry,
Yeah.
swinging ground. Sorry.
Yeah, it's more of a sort of shape ground that then just skips off the pitch. I thought it would swing more today. What? That's
Moeen
Michael
Ali's bowled
laughing.
5 overs for 11. And he is going to continue. And the long on is going in for Rohit Sharma again. And the silly mid on is in. There's no silly point. And Rohit dead bats his first ball into the offside.
You could just see he just snarled at that. He said, I really, really wanted to hit that. You can see the sort of tension building in his body as Mo's plopping them just on a good length outside off stump.
Bairstow's at long on, Mo in bowls, and Rohit drives powerfully but straight to short mid-on, where it's picked up by Hamid.
Yeah, there's two men lurking on that clip through mid-wicket. It's a little bit of cat and mouse at the moment.
Mo in again to Rohit outside the off stump, and dead bats it and then brushes it away almost like a golfer taking a putt. Brushes it away towards Butler.
How's your golf, Simon?
Non-existent.
Oh, you don't play golf, do you?
No. Mo into Rohit again. He dead bats it into the offside. Playing the ball outside the off stump. He probably could have left it, but decided not to. Went out to Sibley at backward point.
Yeah, he keeps after everything. What's that? This is going to be an interesting one. Hold on.
Rohit tries again, bowls to Rohit Sharma. He's down the pitch this time, clipping it through mid-wicket. England have a man in front of the grandstand at deep mid-wicket, so it's a gentle single. 112 for no wicket.
You know when you blow out your cheeks and you go, what's that called? A strawberry, is it? Is it called a raspberry? Yes, he keeps sort of blowing raspberries after every ball he just plays off of Moeen Ali. He sort of turns around and goes,
because really wants to belt it.
Yes, exactly. You can just feel it.
Mo into Rahul is back into his stumps there, guiding it away into the offside. Through cover for another single. 113 for no wicket.
Really,
and that's the end of the over. But we know what you mean.
Yeah.
The press is not a name for it, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
It's like a sort of neigh from a horse.
Yes.
Right.
That's it, yes.
It's Isha time.
Raspberries more.
Bring some sense into this commentary box, Isha, for goodness sake.
But you can just feel Rohit Sharma wanting to dance down the track and get tucked in, or perhaps a slog sweep into the stands. You can really feel he's restraining himself. Played wonderfully well. And Rahul as well, just completely blunted this England attack.
Well, I was the one who suggested raspberries. So
raspberries are more sort of.
Yeah,
that's more of a raspberry.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just a sigh, basically, isn't it?
Yes, it's a sigh, but with lips.
If anyone knows what that is, he's describing as Curran is in and tucked off the hips of KL Rahul as he plays that out to deep backward square for a single, comes through for one. Yet to score a boundary is KL Rahul, who moves to 22, 114 for no loss. Rohit Sharma, in the meantime, has hit, 13 now, Andy?
12, a 6 and 11 fours.
12 boundaries to Rohit Sharma. You describe them as the tortoise and the hare.
Yes.
Phil.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it, at the moment?
Rohit Sharma 82 off 129 deliveries. Slow start for him at the beginning of the day, but he's been looking very relaxed indeed. 2 slips in position for Curran. Round the wicket, drives to extra cover, no run. Bounces off the fielder there. Dom Sibley in that position and has to sprint to retrieve the ball, playing catch up. Phil Tufnell's just receiving a very firm massage from on Michael Vaughan at the moment.
Well, that was good.
He looked in pain there,
Well,
Phil.
no, a very strong hand, gripping that bat all his life.
Curran is in again to Sharma, who plays it on the back foot, but it hits the inside edge onto the pad and falls out in front of him.
What do you do here, Isha, if you're Joe Root?
Hope and pray.
Well, it's getting a little bit like that, isn't it? I mean, you've kind of gone through all the options. You've changed the bowlers up. Bit of Robinson, bit of Anderson, but as we said earlier, there hasn't been a lot of swing.
Well, Stuart Broad tweeted in saying that the bowlers have been bowling well, but just to try and contain things and bowl it.
Thanks, Stuart.
Two's and over as Sharma leaves one outside the off stump and is very close to the top of off. It comes down the slope. The left armour angled into the right hander anyway. That was really close.
As he's relaxing in his hammock, being wafted and fed grapes.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do, isn't it? You just got to hang in and be patient.
Well, so his suggestion was obviously try and retain a bit of control, go at 2s and over, and then pounce when the clouds change as Curran bowls outside the off stump. This one deviating up the slope. Sharma shouldering arms. But at the moment, India have been going at 4s and over after lunch, so they haven't been able to kind of stop that free-flowing nature of India's run scoring, and Rohit Sharma in particular. And there's Mike Gatting.
Oh, there he is, in the old skipper. And I think that's Tony Pygott next to him, is it? Yes, I think it is, old Leicester. From Sussex.
There's Curran around the wicket again, struck on the pad, they go up. Not out, signalled.
Going down.
Curran has a quick look at the captain, Joe Root, grimacing, not sure whether to go up or not. DRS timer ticking down.
It will be a clutch if they go for it. They know it's all going down.
And they've not gone for the review. 3 reviews each, of course, for England and India. The angle of the left armour into Sharma's pads, hitting him flush, but quite clearly going down the leg side, you would think.
And I think also sometimes you've just got to take your hats off to the opposition and the way they've played. KL Rahul has played outside that off stump beautifully and left beautifully.
Actually, I think it might have, it might have been off the face of the bat into the pad.
And wouldn't have hit another set. That just sums up England's predicament at the moment. Yeah, so you've got to. I think sometimes you just got to say, well played, India. You know, it was the right decision to have a bowl, I reckon, with the conditions, and they've just played really, really well.
Here comes Moeen Ali as KL Rahul dances down the track and fetches 6 for it, heading in our direction here in the media centre, and there is his first boundary. 120 for no loss, India, as Rahul moves to 28.
Yeah, great use of the feet. Not a bad delivery by Moeen Ali, but he got to the pitch of it. You know, it's just a good ball outside the off stump, good length. For the first time, KL Rahul decided to have a go at one.
Yeah, Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah, good hit. Nothing he can do about
Down
that.
to collect the ball, He's got the ball back in his hands now. Moeen Ali's got a slip in position, silly point. Manal on deep cover boundary, and Johnny Bairstow, who was at mid-on, has just pushed back a bit more. 3/4 down the pitch as rollers forwards and defending to the offside.
Perhaps round the wicket a bit. Give it a few just round the wicket and then go, right, Skip, thanks very much, on spinner. You've got 4 seamers, let them have a
why
go.
don't you, or you, why don't you have a bowl, Joe? As Rahul is forwards and covering the ball outside the off stump and angled back.
It's a tough gig being a spinner.
I can imagine, Phil.
Especially when you win the toss and bowl, you know, nothing's against you. So you're just trying to look to try and sneak one.
Breeze getting up here at Lords as KL Rahul is forwards and working the ball to mid-wicket. Ali runs to his right to cut it off. No run. Spinning the bat in his hand at the moment, KL Rahul, who just pushes away some dirt with his right foot, now into position forwards and then back deep into his crease and punching out to deep cover. James Anderson at mid-off, moving to his left to take the ball. Comes through for 1, moves to 29, 121 for no loss. Mario emails. RE tough as blowing a raspberry or whatever it's called. I think what Phil is talking about is called lip bubbles.
Oh, is it? Okay.
A raspberry involves you sticking your tongue between your teeth, I think. As Ali bowls to Sharma, who's advancing and working the ball to a short mid-on. Hasib Hamid falls to his right to stop the ball. No run at the end of the over, 121 for no loss. Off you pop, Phil. Yeah, he's had plenty of time, Rohit Sharma, just watching him face spin. Sam Curran, who's bowling at 80 miles an hour, and Mark Wood, who is pushing 96 miles an hour. For every one of those, he's having about 3 cups of tea in between them delivering the ball and him playing the stroke. So much time. He's on 82. India 121 for no loss, and KL Rahul on 29 as Michael Vaughan slips into position. Just, are you in?
Yeah, afternoon everyone. Afternoon, Ish. trouble for England. Jimmy Anderson back into the attack. They haven't bowled badly. I just don't think the pitch and the ball has done as much as we all expected. Those initial 10 or 15 overs, it was swinging a little bit more than obviously it has done of late. But this pair have just played brilliantly in an exhibition on how to play Test match cricket when the ball's just moving around, and then you suddenly get scoring opportunities, and they've taken pretty much every single one.
That run rate just under threes now for India. There's James Anderson that's back on from the pavilion end. Here he comes, past the stumps, bowls. Rahul covering the ball and working it to mid-on. They come through for a quick single. Mark Wood is sprinting in one motion, throwing at the stumps, but they come through, they scamper through for that one, and they move to 122 for no loss. Rahul to 30.
Yeah, I must give Mark Wood, it was a long way off. Ellie ordered a big mention. It's difficult for us to get cakes delivered at the minute in these times, but Ellie's made the most beautiful lemon drizzle.
As Anderson is in, Sharma covering the ball and defending back down the pitch.
And I'm sure all of you that are listening are thinking, shut up, because they'd all like a piece of that lemon drizzle. There's not much left.
It's the first cake that I've had that she's made this summer, and it was divine.
Yeah, lovely. Very nice. I think she's got a real strong chance of getting on that bake-off and doing
let's
well.
Get her on.
Yeah, not the celebrity one, like the proper one.
Yeah. Sharma again defending the ball in front of the stumps. Is just a gentle dab back down the pitch.
I've never tried to bowl quick. Well, maybe when I was younger I tried to, but when you think Jimmy Anderson, Mark Wood, Curran, Ollie Robinson are charging in, they're getting it down there at 81 to 90 odd miles an hour. And Rohit Sharma seems to have all the time in the world. It must be so degrading when you've run in all that way and you've given it everything.
As Anderson steams in again, and Sharma allows it to go past him outside the off stump. Some good length deliveries here. James Anderson. He looks so relaxed, doesn't he, Rohit Sharma? Just taking it all in. Another day at the office.
Nice office though, isn't it?
Yeah, gorgeous.
You don't mind this as your office as a batter. You're out in the middle, 82 not out.
Anderson past the stumps. Sharma brings the bat in as it passes the outside edge through to Joss Butler, just playing the line of the ball.
There'll be those when you mention the word office, and there will be many that are listening that are actually in an office thinking, Isha, that's not a proper office.
Oh yeah.
You really can't call that in the middle as low as an office.
During these times, I reckon people have found different places to work from, whether it's at home or outside somewhere. As Anderson is again past the stumps, this time wide at the off stump as that goes through. End of the over, 122 for no loss. Rohit Sharma 82, Rahul on 30.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people have had to make a space at home, haven't they, for that office? Not quite as good as this one, mate.
No, we're very fortunate here, aren't we? God. Gloomy skies above at Lord's. There's a gentle breeze blowing across the ground. The lights are on. Fairly dramatic, you would say, in terms of visuals here. And plenty of people in as well. It's a sellout here at Lord's, and it's just so good to have people back. Early part of the summer, we had a Lord's test, but it wasn't a full house.
Just seeing here, I heard you ask Phil, what would you try, what would you do? I think this is a good move because Moeen Ali's had a go, he trucked the ball nicely. And now they're going to turn to Mark Wood with a short leg in and put two fielders on the onside. Looks like there might be another one going over to mid-wicket. That's Sibley going to the onside boundary. Maybe a bit of chin music.
Yep.
Use Mark Wood in those short, sharp bursts. That point of difference when you've got four seamers, which three bowl around 81 to 84 miles an hour. Wood is that difference. So I think a bit of short stuff. Yeah, you can see Joe Root, he's just kind of gone into the armpit, get it up to that armpit kind of height.
Here he comes on the charge, Mark Wood, bowling to Rahul, who's forward pressing, pushes, they come through for one. Pushing the ball to just in front of point as the throw is sent in. They've come through and get through easily as well. We'll move to 31, 123 for no loss.
England have managed to keep Rohit Sharma pretty quiet in the last half hour, just 1 from his last 21 balls. Prior to that, he hit 73 off 73 after a slow start.
Yeah, it's looking at the field to Rohit Sharma, it just changes. So cover point goes on the boundary, short leg comes out. Hamid goes to extra cover. There's still 2 fielders on that onside boundary for the top edge pull shot. 1 slip, 2 slip, so you've got first, second, and then a 4th slip. So England are spreading out a little bit.
Wood pushes away into a full sprint past the umpire. Sharma defends a good length delivery out to deep point for a single, just gently opens the face as he plays it and comes through for 1.
Yeah, this is the problem when you have fields like this, is that it's so easy for players like Rohit Sharma to just rotate the strike. So many gaps. It's funny, isn't it? We've talked preparation of how, I guess, the lack of it for both these teams. I know India played 1 3-day game, but it was a game in Durham against a county 11. So they haven't had lots of preparation, but they seem to be doing all right without it.
Wood, hands on hips, standing at the top of his mark as deep backward square has come up to the inner circle next to the umpire. It's a short leg in play and 2 slips and a gully as he comes in wide of the stumps, bowls and roll, defends to mid-off the front foot. 124 for no loss then India after Joe Root won the toss and elected to bowl.
Well, you think this one's going to be up to the armpit height? First 3 in this over from Mark Wood has been quite comfortable for this pair. Legs come in, he's just by the umpire, Dom Sibley now.
Pounding in is Wood. Drives, does KL Rahul out to the deep cover boundary, slightly fuller in length, and just opens the face as he looks to play that and comes through for 2, moves to 33, 126 for no loss.
Yeah, the worry for Joe Root is that scoreboard is ticking along. In the first 10 or 15 overs there was nothing really happening in terms of the score, and he developed control, but every 10 or 15 minutes he keeps looking up at that scoreboard. It's moving too quickly. 126 for naught.
He's just asked mid-off to move a little bit wider to his left, James Anderson, as Wood is in again. Short to KL Rahul, has a little swish at it leg side, but bowls it quite wide of the off stump and it goes through to Jos Buttler. He's shaped to play it and then almost pulled out as he swiveled through.
Yeah, it's quite wide of off stump, but he'd been better off cutting that through the offside. Such a good offsided player. Square leg now going back on the boundary, because we've seen Rahul take it on.
Rahul still in his crease, bat hovering above the stumps as Wood is in again, short and ducks underneath that one this time. It was a bit more angled in and at the head of KL Rahul as he ducks down. 126 for no loss then. Rohit Sharma on 83, KL Rahul 33. A few more words from you, Michael, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, I mentioned the last over about Rohit Sharma, how much time he has to play the deliveries. That last ball from Mark Wood to KL Rahul, it was a short, sharp, quick bouncer, and he just ducked down and just let it go over that left shoulder. Not easy for the England side. This Indian pair looks set, and the problem for them is that Rohit Sharma, he's not got 100 outside of India, but he generally, when he gets 100s, he likes to get big ones, and that's just in one-day cricket.
Anderson's on his way, and Sharma turns him to square leg. and there's no run. Michael, nice to see you. Sort of crossed
with
crossed in
cross
corridors
pass. You had a
today.
few issues early, didn't you, with the
Yes.
technology down?
What was nice though was getting the captains to stand sideways on.
Saw that, yeah.
Because the microphone.
You were in control. You were
Well,
dictating to both. I'm Virat. When you control Virat, I know you're in charge.
Well, he's on good form at the moment, is Virat. But yes, had to turn sideways so the microphone had an uninterrupted shot of the commentary box. Its signal. Anderson, pavilion end, moves in bowls, and Sharma looks at that one outside the off stump, lets it go by. The light not great. We've got some Indian reserve players heading round the boundary edge down to our left-hand side down there, exchanging a friendly word with Moeen, who's in the vicinity.
Yeah, I feel, Aggers, that when you're going down there to give these interviews, it's you've got to show your presence. I feel you've got Virat in the palm of your hand at the minute.
Well, I think Virat's just doing what he's told. 126 for no wicket. In comes Anderson, and beat the bat. We haven't seen much of that today. Consider the conditions and so on, but we really haven't seen much of the ball beating the bat. But that was a definite one.
Yeah, I think the pitch is playing quite slow. I'd expect it to quicken up tomorrow. Sometimes is the case. Bit of moisture on day one, just dries out a bit more on day 2 and 3, and the ball skims through a bit quicker. Jimmy Anderson's thigh, which was the talking point yesterday, that he was going to miss the Test match. Well, he's looked absolutely fine, hasn't he?
Yep. I don't know where that came from.
No, strange one.
126 for no wicket. Rowett's on 83. Anderson again moves in, bowls, and he's bowled him. Finally, England break through. And as Jimmy Anderson has brought one slightly down the slope and he's bowled Rohit Sharma for an excellent 83. He has played really well. And all things considered, it's a bit surprising that he missed that one. He's played so well. But no surprise, this Jimmy Anderson it just flicked the back leg before ricocheting into the stumps.
Yeah, that slope, the element of bowling from the pavilion end with the slope. Jimmy Anderson just getting the ball to go down the slope, through bat and pad, off that right leg back onto the stumps. He's played so well, Rohit Sharma. He's given his team a fantastic start. And that overseas first Test century still eludes him. Amazing when you think of the quality of the player in Rohit Sharma. He's not got a Test century overseas. But he's at the spring. We saw it at Trent Bridge, didn't we, when the opening partnership was 97 for India, and all of a sudden a few minutes later it felt they were 4 down, and that's exactly what England have to do here. They have to get on a roll. Pujara's not been in great form. Didn't look anywhere near his best in Nottingham, even in the second innings when he went out that fourth evening. He looked all over the place.
And there's some pressure on his place too, isn't there? If you listen to and read certainly the Indian journalists, they feel that he's vulnerable at the moment. 88 tests, 1800s. Not sure if he and KL Rahul batting together necessarily empty the bars.
I think Virat Kohli, having lost the toss, he was going to bowl as well.
Yep.
I think that his team are now 126 for 1. They're just telling the dressing room and all the Indian players, just bat the day, see where we are at the close of play. And if there are periods where it's hard to score, just hang in there. Just don't gift England some easy ones.
The light not good. You can see the shadows there at the feet of the fielders, the batsmen, the umpires. Tremendous cheer for Anderson. The crowd getting behind this. They've finally seen a wicket.
Well, that fielder that they've positioned there, just behind square, about 5 yards behind square on the leg side, it's an area where Pujara hits the ball in the air. So that's why that fielder's been positioned there. Short legging as well. You'll be happy.
I do. I like the short leg. 126 for 1. Anderson roared on by the crowd. Moves in bowls to Pujara, who allows that to go by outside the off stump. Rather anticlimactic. And Root's got a buzz about him now. Throws the ball to Hamid, fielding there at short leg.
You got a bit of Hoggard tonight, haven't you?
Hoggard's in town, yes.
Yeah.
So might see a bit of Hoggard. It should be fun.
Yeah, tremendous couple of balls actually to Rohit Sharma. We got one to beat the outside edge, went up the slope, and then that one that bowled him went down the slope quite a lot.
Yeah, it did just flick the back leg and went into the stumps. Anderson breaking through, and now he's got one more ball at Pujara. Right-handed, he's crouching there now as Anderson comes in, bowls through, feels for this rather, steers the ball to backward point. Fielded by Sibley. And there's the Lord's approval for Jimmy Anderson. Finally, England break through some excellent opening batting. And Rahul from Sharma.
Rohit Sharma's innings, 83 from 145 balls with a 6 and 11 fours. Had 3 phases in it, 8 from the first 46 balls, then 73 from 73. And then England tightened up and just 2 from 25 balls before Anderson bowled him out. It's his highest score outside Asia. The opening stand of 126 is the second highest by a team that has been put into bat by England in England for the opening wicket in the first innings.
Ever?
Yes.
There's 2 men back here. Interesting field for Rahul as a fine leg, deep backward square leg, and the short leg. Should have been there from the start. Of course, in goes Wood again. Is there any bowls? Oh, that gets a leading edge. Ball runs down to third man. He won't go all the way. Sibley's after this from the gully. And they come back for 2. Interesting field. It suggests that Wood is going to bowl some hostile balls here at Rahul. Rolling into a very slight breeze now coming up from the pavilion end. There's Wood, surprisingly small for a fast bowler. You always take a double look at Mark Wood, don't you? Because most fast bowlers are big, tall, immensely strong, and he's clearly very strong, but like a whippet really. Runs in now, bowls outside the off stump, moves away down the slope, and Rahul has nothing to do with it.
You can't do anything but smile when you're around Mark Wood. He's just got that energy, hasn't he? That joy. Always trying to bring a bit of humour. Must be great to have in the dressing room.
He's got his own podcast now. We should mention that.
Has he?
Yep, with their old friend Miles Jupp.
Oh, great.
So they're a bit of an act together.
What's it called?
That's a very good question.
So you listened to it closely?
No, I was on it a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it's called now. Oh yes, I can. It's come to me. In goes Wood over the wicket. Bowls, and that's an inside edge into the pad. Runs away down to backward point. It's called middle stump, please umpire, or something like that.
No, he's a character, isn't he? He's not going to struggle when he decides to call it a day, and there's a few years left in him yet.
Yeah. The interesting one was Miles, because it was done on Zoom or something like that, and you could actually see Miles was doing his part of it, if you like, from what appeared to be sort of a laundry room. There was sort of ironing hanging around everywhere, and that's his office. Tumble dryer going.
Well, we've just been talking about offices. This has been the office for the week.
Yep.
Okay.
Short leg crouching, Wood's on his way, bowls outside the off stump, flashed away for 4. Very fine shot from Rahul. It's just a little bit short and wide, and he really hit that hard. And anyone who knows Lords knows you hit the ball out in that direction and it stays hit, it just rushes away down the slope.
A bit confused by this because England have got the field set for short stuff.
Yes.
And he's bowled just one short ball so far in the space of 2 overs with this field that's been set. That is the nothing length on this. It's not quick enough, this pitch. At the minute, it's just so slow that anything kind of just back of a length, it just sits in the surface.
Beautiful shot, that. That was just wide enough, really. And it wasn't hit with a horizontal bat. He just manoeuvred his bat beautifully. 2 slips waiting there. Wood's on his way again. Bowls, and he drives him. It's off a thick outside edge. It's flown through the slips. And not even Mark Wood will be smiling, I don't think, now, because he'll be pretty cross about that.
Yeah, concern because Ollie Robinson and Jimmy Anderson are bowling with great discipline, great attrition. Sam Curran, what's Sam Curran's figures, Andy, and Mark Wood's combined?
Curran 0 for 40 from 11, Wood now 0 for 36. This is his 7th over, so none for 76 from 18.
That flew through gully. No one could get near it, but it was in the air.
But you get them at drift daggers, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 3rd and 4th seamers are travelling.
Yep, they are. 136 for 1 is the score. India put into bat. And Wood rushes in again over the wicket and bowls outside the off stump. It keeps very low, and Rahul has nothing to do with that. And through it goes to the wicketkeeper. He's on 43 from 124 balls. And Pujara will be on strike. So it's Anderson 1 for 12 from 10. Robinson no wicket for 19 from 10. But Curran, 3.5 and over. Wood 5 and over.
Yeah, so 20 overs between Anderson and Robinson have gone for 31. 18 overs between Curran and Wood have gone for 76. So you'd know your tactics from an Indian perspective. Batting, you go, okay, just hang in there against the likes of Anderson and Ollie Robinson, and you know scoring opportunities will arrive.
So it's that familiar field again with the forward short leg and the man catching just behind square. It's for a genuine flick off the pads that travels in the air in that direction. There's 2 slips and a gully on the offside. Anderson bowls and Pujara stuck on the pad, leg before wicket. Not out. At least not at the moment. Anderson is thinking about a review here. They haven't burned any off so far.
I reckon they'll go for
They
this.
have 3. I think Anderson wants this. He's trying to convince his captain, who's chewing on his piece of gum. Yep, it's gone for a late one with 1 second left.
Bit of height.
1 second, yeah. It's hard to tell from here.
Director, we have a player review for LBW. Original decision is not out. It's a fair delivery. We can move on to front on spin vision, please.
Well, Anderson's smiling. He really had to work hard en route there, I think. Let's have a look. Ooh, it is high. It's brushed the top of the flap.
Just keep that rolling through, please. Keep it rolling through.
Don't think he's nicked
Okay, I'm just
that.
going to need to see Ultra Edge when available, thank you.
It does look quite high.
Ultra Edge coming through now. Flat line as it passes the bat. Keep it rolling through to the pad, please. Okay, with no bat involved, we'll go to ball tracking when ready, thank you.
I don't think this is out, do you?
I think it's just a little bit high. Maybe umpire's call.
Let's have a look. Well, it's certainly straight enough. Wicket's missing. Over the
Pitching
top.
outside off, impacting line, and is missing the wickets. Can we go back to Michael on field, please? Michael, you can stay your decision. You're on camera now.
So Richard Kettleborough, the third umpire, sounds like he's in the bathroom somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's at home, isn't he?
Well, I don't know where he is. He sounds like he's in the gents. Very strange noise.
Well, he can lose the review. Well, they've got 2 remaining, but yeah, you could see why Jimmy. He probably felt that it was going to be umpire's call, which would have obviously made them keep the review.
Here he comes again and bowls. Oh, that squares Pujara up. He's got it away though for a single, prodding it into the offside. And through they go for 1. 137 for 1.
I think looking at Pujara, you can see that it's so obvious when you see a player that's just not in sync, not in rhythm. We saw that at Nottingham with him, and you can see already here that he's just not quite right. He can get it back quite quickly if he hangs in there, and that's what he'll try and do, just hang around for half an hour, 40 minutes. And I'm sure he'll find his rhythm, but you can see that he's he's flicking at his pads, his gloves, there's all sorts happening. He's not quite comfortable.
No. Rahul's on 43, breeze picking up. Anderson moves in, bowls to him, and he cuts away in the leg side. Chase for Curran, off he goes. Down to the Allen stand, over to our left at the far end. Long, long way down there. Could almost run 4. In fact, it's not Curran. Who's that? Wood, was it? Chasing after that? I think it was.
That's all he needs.
Long way to go.
Charging in at the other end.
Yeah. He's gone miles down there.
So Richard Kettleborough, I wonder which toilet he's in.
Well, he's a friend of yours and you can ask him.
Yeah, I'll text him later on just to see how his day in the toilet was.
I think Jimi Hendrix used to practice in a small room in a
Did
day.
he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Kettle was going for the acoustic, isn't he?
Perhaps he is. Is there room for a guitar in there? 140 for 1. Anderson bowls outside the off stump, and Pujara lets it go through to wicketkeeper Butler, raising the bat. It's moved away a little bit.
What kind of state do you think Mr. Hogarth will be when you see him later? I think he'll be in fine shape.
Well, I think he's being professional today. I think he's working down here.
Yeah.
So it's nothing if not professional, the Hogster.
Yeah.
It's his choice of restaurant tonight, I think, so not sure what that'll be like. 140 for 1. In comes Anderson. Bowls outside the off stump. No stroke from Pujara. You can come along if you like. You can talk about Yorkshire days.
Yes, I would. I have another date.
Oh.
Yeah, just got another dinner date.
Right, okay.
Not too sure. I mean, I would say that Hoggy would have been professional up to the round now, and then there's a chance that he may become unprofessional. And I love Hoggy, but generally after maybe a few hours of not being quite professional and then bumping into him, it's not the ideal evening.
Well, we'll see. Here's Anderson, bowls outside the off stump, and dropped by Butler there for no particular reason, except the ball can sometimes wobble a bit for wicket keepers here. Mr. Punter's got that to look forward to later. 140 for 1, and teas at 4:15 today. There's some strange timings because of what we lost. I'm talking to Tom Harrison. He's the chief executive of the ECB during tea. There's lots to talk to him about at the moment, obviously. It's being done in a slightly COVID restricted fashion down there.
Yeah, and about, are you?
Down by the boundary edge, amongst the advertising hoardings.
You ready for him?
Well, I don't know really. I've enjoyed talking to Andrew Strauss. I mean, it's extraordinary, I think, how bravely and openly he's talked about his experience of the last 3-4 years. It's absolutely incredible, really. Inspiration to everybody. Incredible man, really. 140 for 1. And in goes Wood. He's there and he bowls outside the off stump. So this is a slightly different interview, I suspect. But there's so much to talk about. I mean, Australia and the Ashes, the schedule, Test cricket. What's the priorities of the ECB? So, it's quite a short interval, isn't it? Lots to talk about. We'll do our best to get it all in. 140 for 1. Rahul's on 46.
Yeah, no surprise. They put cover point on the boundary just behind square to Mark Wood. Short legs come out.
Wood again tearing in. He's got 33 on his back. His only bowl's very full. It's driven, not timed though by Rahul. He's looking for a boundary for his 50, and Wood's able to stop that in his follow through, which is always a bit of a scramble. Sometimes I think he bowls himself off his feet.
It's funny cricket, isn't it? If you think 2 days before the first test in Nottingham, there's a very good chance that Rahul wasn't going to play with. Obviously, Mayan Agarwal going to open the bat, and he took a blow to the helmet of Mohammad Shami, concussed, so he couldn't play, and Rahul's taken his opportunity, and good luck dislodging him, because he's done enough now to play the remainder of the series. He's played beautifully so far.
In goes Wood from this end and bowls. He plays slightly across his pad there. Mowing pounces at wide mid-on. And there's no run. It was a similar innings in the first innings there, wasn't it? 84 from 214 balls. So he's going down the patient route. 46 from 128.
But a similar acceleration today, 20 from his first 105 and 26 from 23 balls since then. So he had a similar acceleration in that first test after a slow start.
Last ball showing up there on the screen, 90.1 miles per hour. As Wood again goes rushing in away from us. He bowls, ball swings away, gets a thick inside edge, trickles away out into the leg side. He's bowled pretty well, but I'm not sure everything's gone his way today, but he keeps roaring in. I bet there's some interesting conversations on the balcony up to our left there on one of those blocks of apartments. I think they're really rather nice looking ones from here, the big balconies, but on one balcony they've got an England flag and also an Indian flag flying from the same balcony.
Yeah, that's competitive, isn't it?
Very competitive. In fact, there's 2 Indian flags now flying up there to 1 English. In fact, he's waving. They're probably listening. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. You must get a good view up there. You've got the scoreboard.
Yes.
Look over the top of the mound stand.
When the tavern stand gets developed, they'll still have a view.
Yeah, that's true. Here's Wood bowling short of a length. Pujara on the back foot plays it back up the pitch to him. Well, they seem to be getting on all right up there. So that might be another England flag I can see behind there, is poking out. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation up on that balcony, but wonderful views. I think they're called Lord's Views, aren't they? Lord's
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's lovely, aren't they?
Other Indian flag has appeared to another balcony, there to the right, fluttering away in the breeze. 141 for 1. And here's Wood bowling, that's turned away out towards mid-wicket. And they'll take a single. It's from those buildings, of course, that Peter Hain told me those years ago they were going to try and disrupt any test match that took place against South Africa in 1970. They're going to fly model aeroplanes and all buzzing the players and all sorts from up there. So I think they've been modernised since those days, but there we go. 142 for 1. Michael, some thoughts from you, and then someone.
I was seeing you get up and you were late.
Well, I don't like to go over my time, which is 10-2, but I'll have to do another over. No, that was the plan.
Unless Phil's going to do some ball by ball.
That'd be fun. They were going to disrupt the game if it took part by launching model aeroplanes off the roof of those flats there. Anything to disrupt the cricket. Never came to that. The tour was cancelled. 142 for 1, and Pujara's seen someone moving. I don't know how he's seen anybody moving there, because there's nobody sitting there, because it's been cleared. So I'm not sure what that was about, and I think Anderson might have reminded him of that. He's on his way now, he's pulled away. He's angry. He's playing games here. When they've blocked off the area, so how could anyone be moving there? Not even Alex Stewart would have seen anybody moving there, and he could pick a sparrow sitting on a sight screen. 142 for 1. In comes Anderson, and he bowls, and Pujara's edged it safely, and will get 4 through third man. Flew past Burns, and also Bairstow, who's at third slip, but Burns, I think, was one who was most interested in that. He went very quickly and low, and down through the vacant third man.
Well, they've got this stagger. They've got a first slip, Joe Root. They've got a second slip in Johnny Bairstow, and they've got Rory Burns at around 4th slip.
Yeah.
And it's gone straight in the gap. That would have been a third slip.
He didn't want to play at it. He was just taking his bat out of the way.
It just doesn't look in any kind of rhythm. Pujara, he is searching. That's why he's kind of just jabbing at the ball. He's just hoping.
Bairstow returns to second slip. Anderson's on his way again. Bowls, and Pujara pushes into the offside. Wants a single, but he's sent back by his partner. He's also get away from strike. Get the strike rotation going. Get some rhythm into his batting. But sent back there. Pujara remains on 6. Rahul on 47. 146 for 1. Anderson swings round in the distance. Pujara waits, crouched over his bat. Anderson's there, and he bowls to him forward. Can't do anything with that. The ball rolls away for Wood to come in and field at mid-on. Ollie Robinson's loosening up, so it may be that he'll be on shortly. Wood exchanges a word with Anderson, who rubs the ball hard on the back of his trousers. Wheels round in the distance. He's on his way again. Still the floodlights on. Anderson bowls. Pujara's forward again. It's a thick edge affair, really. A bit of a fumble there by Sibley, who threw himself to his right at point. And they're going to get a single for that. And the timing wasn't there, really. Pujara goes to 7. And now Rahul on 47. Deep Dasgupta is back. Enjoying it, Deep?
Oh, loving it. Absolutely loving it. Especially how India's paced right now.
What a terrific start, isn't it? My word, it really is.
Yeah, but looking at Pujara, I mean, it just seems that the whole strike rate debate has got him going a bit, isn't it? He's pushing
feeling
at
it, isn't he? He's feeling the pressure. Yeah,
he
definitely.
is.
Anderson again bowls, and Rahul defends this. Well, particularly if Rahul's going to carry on opening the batting at this rate, this sort of pace, that puts even more emphasis on Pujara at number 3, doesn't it? Because if again, can you afford to have 2 batsmen at 2 and 3 who bat like this?
And also, before the series started, Virat came out and spoke about how he wants this team to play
Yeah.
a little differently, more fearless cricket. You have those players in the ranks, someone like Rishabh Pant or even Rahane himself.
Anderson bowls, and this is defended, played away down to point, where it's fielded by Hamid. And there's no run, 147 for 1. T just over 15 minutes away now. Pujara 7, Rahul 47, a lovely 83 from Rohit Sharma, India having been put into bat. Now the last time I saw you, or more or less, actually it wasn't you, it was your dad, who I interviewed when you scored that lovely 100
Thank you.
in Mohali, and your dad was going mad in front of us. And I managed to get him on the radio. I hope he's well.
Yes, he is.
Right, but you must send him our very best wishes, because he was going absolutely bonkers. It must be your first test, yeah? First 100.
First 100.
Yes. Oh, he was. I mean, it's so nice that he was there, but he was thrilled.
Yeah, he's a huge cricket fan. He's a cricket nut. He watches cricket all day long, irrespective who's playing. He's a little miffed right now because he can't hear me now, back in India.
He could if he was very cunning with his technology, I suspect.
I don't expect him to be that. He's as tech challenged as I am.
We'll
maybe
try
a little more.
Help him out. Robinson's back, and so is Ali Mitchell.
Thank you, Aggers. Hello, Deep.
Hello, Ellie.
The sky just got a little bit lighter. Floodlights not having such an effect as they did a little while ago, as Robinson is in down the leg side though and taken low down by Jos Buttler behind the stumps. 147 for 1. Then KL Rahul a few runs away from a 50 but down the non-striker's end. And Pujara, I mean, very difficult for a batsman to get in against the likes of Jimmy Anderson when he was bowling from that far end.
Yeah, and especially someone like Pujara, who's under a bit of pressure. There's no two ways about it, and it seemed like that the way he's batting. 3 slips and a gully.
Robinson is in now. There's some movement away from him, but it's sufficiently wide of that off stump that he's able to let it go. He doesn't offer a shot.
True. I mean, listen, this is where as a bowler you've got to be really smart and make sure that Pujara, you make him play, because Pujara is one of those batters who likes to leave the ball when he comes out to bat. He's very old-fashioned in the way he plays his cricket. So he likes leaving deliveries outside off stump. So the last thing you want to do as a bowling unit is not make him play at this point in time with T just round the corner.
Yeah, that's right. T at 4:15 as Robinson is in now. That's tied to the off stump. Well judged leave, taking a big stride forward and a shouldering of arms. And Pujara was the new wall, wasn't he?
Yes.
Although now the rock, I gather, rather than the wall.
Well, a bit of cracks now appearing on
Yeah,
that
that's
wall.
the problem.
But
Need a bit of rendering.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, he's been so good over the years, over his career. And when you have a career as long as his, you will have ups and downs.
Oh yeah, some of the best batsmen in the world have had their troughs and had to battle through them. More often than not, they do come out the other side. Robinson in, shake away once more, just a fraction down that slope and left alone by Pujara, who now wanders out of his crease down the pitch to have a word with KL Rahul.
Yeah, I mean, if I would be looking at a short leg for Pujara, because he's, especially now when he's just walked out to bat, he's a little tentative with his footwork. You might as well put another fielder in that short leg area. Be a little straighter, make him play. I mean, he's left a couple of really good deliveries outside off stump so far in this over, but I'd rather have him play at more often than not at this point in time.
3 slips go down alongside Gully. Robinson in, wonderfully bowled. Again, fraction tighter to the off stump, but again left alone by Pujara. Seems to have expert knowledge of where his off stump is at the moment.
That's true, and he's getting a big stride in. That's one of the reasons you want a short leg fielder. Generally what happens if you, as a batter, you see a short leg fielder, you're a little tentative getting your front foot across, as much as Pujara is getting right now. So just to avoid that footwork from Pujara, just get a short leg in, play with his mind a bit.
To prevent him doing what he's wanting to do.
Exactly, get that front foot, really big stride outside off stump.
At the moment, Moeen's walking in from square leg. It's a little tighter, coming back in on the batsman, and Pujara defended it on off stump into the offside, and no run. So the score remains 147 for 1. Pujara 7 and KL Rahul 47. James Anderson with the wicket. Rohit Sharma had him bowled, came off the thigh pad onto the off stump. He made 83, so still in search of 100 away from home. All his success has come in India.
Yeah, he still needs to get that monkey off his back. And
it was his highest score outside Asia. His head-to-head with Jimmy Anderson in tests makes interesting reading. It's the second time Anderson's got him out in 8 innings. 151 balls, just 36 runs. So we've seen Rohit play with real discipline. Anderson, one of the most economical bowlers in the world at the moment. It's been a fascinating tussle.
KL Rahul awaits Anderson then outside the off stump through to Butler.
And what would be interesting to see is how many balls actually have Rohit played, and in terms of really played and not let alone let it go outside off stump, because that's what Anderson he does, right? He bowls his outswingers outside off stump. And that's going to be interesting, because that's what Rohit's been trying to do ever since he started opening in Test match cricket, is just make sure he does not chase too many deliveries outside off stump.
Anderson running in the pavilion behind him. Leap at the crease, bowls. Forward comes KL Rahul and a single into mid-wicket. Mark Wood skipping forwards to field.
Yeah, going back to that Rohit conversation, obviously 83 was very well made and it was a really nice knock, but I'm sure he's going to be disappointed because he did all the hard work. Get to that 83 but still hasn't got 100, because with someone like him who already has a reputation to keep, he's one of the best batters in white ball cricket in the world right now, still hasn't got that 100 away from home. So I'm sure he's going to be disappointed. He would be really happy with the knock that he played, so would be the team, but again, he must be thinking about it, that close to getting 100 away from home.
And he got a wonderful reception as he walked off the ground, but he did look pretty downcast as he passed Pujara. Pujara was looking for the punch of gloves. Short leg in here as Anderson is into Pujara and all he defends. Wasn't quite sure where the ball had gone. It bubbled from bat face into the turf, and Hasib Hamid moves forward to field as the ball comes to rest on the pitch.
So we're talking about the short leg fielder for Pujara, and Jimmy Anderson's got one there. That's a really good field placement. You got 3 slip for that outside edge and a gully, but you also have Hamid there, a short leg for anything with that inside edge onto the pad or something, or just to keep Pujara thinking about him at least.
Pujara crouches quite low in his stance as Anderson is in, moves away from him outside the off stump, up the slope and taken by Butler. Well, he came out with a wonderful platform, 126 on the board before that first wicket fell. Closing in on that record, Andy, wasn't it? Was it 129? It would have been
yes,
the record.
Would have been a record for highest opening stand by a team put in by England in England for the opening stand. A little thing on Rohit as an opener, averages 61.2 in tests as an opener. Out of openers who've had 20 or more innings in tests, that's the highest average ahead of Herbert Sutcliffe.
Wow, that's going back a bit. Anderson past the umpire in, now bowls full to Pujara, or gets through Anderson, put his hand down to try and stop the ball. It's a long chase back for Mark Wood now, slides in the turf, takes a bit of turf with him in fact as Pujara comes back for the second. Ease back down the pitch, had rather more pace on it than originally seemed. Yeah, 150's up for India.
Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? 150 for 1, it's the 58th over. And this is the change that we're talking about, that we're seeing in Pujara's batting. He's pushing at it. Before the series, he would have defended and not really looked to score runs off that last delivery, which was pitched up, which was driving length. But now he's looking to score runs, not just trying to hang around, but actually not just hang around, just score runs as well.
Yep, looking to be a little more proactive. What must Joe Root be thinking? 150 on the board, just the 1 wicket so far after inviting India to bat, and Anderson is in once again. Edge taken! Johnny Bairstow with the catch at third slip. And 1 wicket has become 2 for James Anderson. Pujara's gone for 9. India are now 150 for 2.
This is huge. Chiteshwar Pujara again pushing at it, gets that outside edge. Because he played it with hard hands, carried all the way to Johnny Bairstow. But what a legend. Jimmy Anderson, superbly bowled, that corridor outside off stump, that same old outswing delivery of his, gets the edge and gets the edge to carry as well. So 1 brings 2 again.
Yep, and it's a single figure score then for Pujara. Made just 4 in the first innings at Trent Bridge, 9 here. And well, the crowd given Anderson a tremendous ovation, and there's also something of an ovation for the incoming batsman, because it is the Indian captain Virat Kohli. So much excitement. This is the battle that was tantalising at Trent Bridge. Didn't last long because Anderson got Kohli first ball.
Yeah, fabulous numbers though. Still averages over 50s, 7,500 runs. It's 94th game. Virat Kohli. Yeah, round 2.
Yeah, and the crowd will be absolutely alive to this. They'll all have been aware of what unfolded in Nottingham. Although they're going to have to wait a little bit because it was the last ball of James Anderson's over. So he's got his cap on his head and he's heading down to field on the boundary in front of the Warner stand. He's going to get a good reception as well when he gets down there, I'm sure. I beg your pardon, he's here at mid-off. Hands on his hips, so he's done a fabulous job. 623 test wickets now in his career. Just extraordinary. I've been watching him for so long, and a lot of people here today would have come into the gates at Lord's thinking, oh, are we going to even see James Anderson on the field after that quad niggle injury that he felt in training? So KL Rahul's on strike here, and Robinson is in. No, he was struck on the thigh pad. The ball's ballooned away towards gully. Rory Burns fields. It's amazing how, one wicket becomes 2. A game can still change pretty quickly. Everything just felt all in India's favour. 126 for no loss, and the way Rohit Sharma was batting, you did not know where a wicket was coming from for England.
True, and that's happening more frequently in Test match cricket now, isn't it? The collapses. We saw that both with England and India in the first Test match. Well,
Robinson in. Rahul is on 48 outside the off stump. He's still finding a little bit of movement away down the slope from the right-hander, but it was too wide for Rahul to be tempted into a shot.
Yeah, what a legend, Jimmy Anderson, isn't it?
You feel very lucky to have sort of lived through his era and just watched him from, many people will remember the start of his career when he came into the England side as such a youngster with a crazy coloured hairdo and just see how he's evolved and matured and grown into a man in front of all these cricket supporters' eyes. Robinson up to the wicket, bowling to Rahul outside the off stump, shapes to play, allows it to go through to Butler, no run. And Kohli at the non-striker's end, what will he be thinking, wondering which bowler he's going to be facing first. If he stays down that non-striker's end, it will be Anderson from the pavilion end.
Yeah, it's also going to be interesting to see whether he's made any changes, Virat Kohli, with his trigger movement, because last time around, very first delivery chased something which generally he doesn't, fifth stumpish.
Also coming out as we are at 5 minutes to go until tea. Never ideal. Robinson in. He's having to play at that. And was it beyond gully? Rory Burns couldn't stop that. Long chase now for Hamid and Bairstow, who will get there first. Bairstow flicks it back to Hamid and come back for 3. And it's 50 for KL Rahul. 51 not out, brings the ground to its feet, brings his teammates up on the dressing room balcony to their feet as well. Well, he played a second fiddle role to Rohit Sharma, and he's picked up his pace, played more shots since his fellow opener was dismissed.
Yeah, very well paced innings from KL Rahul. Was of 100, first 100 deliveries was only on 18, and then since then he's moved gears and he's being more proactive. And again, back-to-back half centuries in 2 test matches for somebody who was not going to open the innings before the series started. It's absolutely brilliant for KL Rahul.
Here's the first ball to Virat Kohli. 3 slips in the gully. Robinson in. Gets him on his pad. Turns it to mid-wicket where Moeen Ali fields and no run. Yes, 84 for KL Rahul at Trent Bridge. So backing that up, back-to-back first innings 50s, doing what's asked of him as an opener. But the difference, I suppose, there, I mean, we're almost contrasting the start of his innings with, say, the way Sibley would take a lot of balls to score not too many runs. But the difference here is that he stayed there and, as you said, moved through the gears and was able to accelerate through to a substantial score.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge for someone like KL Rahul, who's made a name for himself in the white ball formats, T20 and 50 overs.
The short leg here for Kohli. Robinson is in outside the off stump. He came forward, shouldered arms, let it go through to Butler. So he's going to be at the non-striker's end at the start of the next over. not long to go until tea. Andy.
KL Rahul's half century came from his 137th ball, 1 6 and 2 4s. It's his 18th 50-plus score in Test cricket. He's converted 5 of the previous 17 into centuries. He hadn't made a half century in 7 tests before Trent Bridge since the Oval Test of 2018, and had dropped out of the Indian side. He'd only played one red ball first-class game in almost 2 years before this tour. Played the warm-up game just before the start of the first test. So a superb return to form for Rahul. 20 off his first 105 balls and 31 off 32 to get to his half century.
One red ball first-class game prior to this tour.
In the last, I think, 22 months.
We talk about preparation and, well, he's showing his class. He's facing up to Anderson now and angled his bat. Ball deflects down into the turf, shaping to try and force that out through the offside up the slope. Fielded.
Going back to that KL Rahul thing, in those 22 months, he's played a lot of white ball cricket. He scored a lot of runs in white ball cricket, whether it's for India or in the IPL, T20 or 50 overs. So the transition from white ball to red ball without having played much red ball, I mean, this just says a lot about his discipline, his approach, his mentality, his mindset.
So much of it's got to be mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And being able to find the right technique. Anderson is in, sort of straighter, fuller, comes forward and defends it firmly back up the pitch into the hands of Anderson. Well, the crowd's just waiting for the single that'll bring Kohli on strike, aren't they? This will be the last over before tea, you imagine. Anderson gives that red Duke's ball a rub on his right thigh. It was his left quad that was tight, but he hasn't shown any signs of tightness or injury or discomfort that I've noticed today. 3 slips, 4 slips stand behind KL Rahul. His bat hovers as Anderson is in. It's a little more on middle and leg, turn to short mid-wicket where Robinson is fielding and no run.
So you reckon a single in the next 3 deliveries will get? You reckon before tea Virat will be facing Anderson? Yeah?
I think KL Rahul is just going to block, isn't he? As much as the crowd might want it to happen, I think it's about getting through, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess last over shutters down. Interesting field, 4 slips. It was 3 slip and a gully, but been pushed inside. Rory Burns' 4th slip.
Anderson in full, coming forward, defending very correctly. His head right over the ball. Anderson picks up in his follow through. 153 for 2. India, they were 126 without loss. Rohit Sharma made 83. And Cheteshwar Pachara didn't last long. Both wickets going to James Anderson. Virat Kohli, tantalising prospect of him resuming his innings after the tea break, batting into the evening session here on day 1 of this match. 2 more balls to come in this over from Anderson. Slight angle to his run. He's in there now to Rahul, outside the off stump, fullish length, and Rahul lets it go through to Butler.
Maybe not this session. Yeah, but that's going to be one of the battles to watch out for in this series, isn't it? Anderson versus Virat. It's always been so entertaining. Even last time around in 2018, even though Anderson didn't really get him out through the series, but he created those opportunities.
It's that sense of the best be the best, isn't it? It's that one-on-one contest. People love and what endures about Test cricket. Anderson in, a drive, up the slope towards the grandstand for 4. Last ball before tea. And so KL Rahul goes in unbeaten on 55. Virat Kohli will come out after tea to open his account and get some runs on the board. India 157 for 2.
It was a really good hit. Was there to be driven a little fuller. And KL Rahul, another superb innings so far from him. Very watchful, well-paced innings, and India needed it after being asked to bat on an overcast morning. It's a really good start from KL Rahul, even though this session, so to say, been a little 50-50, isn't it? India scored 111 runs in 33.2 overs, but also lost a couple of wickets there.
Yeah, over rate's still not great, is it? 13.4 is the over rate for the day so far. But we'll let you go deep. Dasgupta, former India opener. And the floodlights are on as they have been all day, but India will resume 157 for 2.